Hey, what's going on, guys? Happy Tuesday. It's good to be here. Good to have you guys here. I'm not muted, Mikey, you son of a bitch. What? What's wrong? You guys don't like the imagery? We don't like it? Not one bit? It's not your thing? We don't kink shame around here. It's one of the rules of RTP Talks. We do not kink shame, okay? We got to let these Republicans do their thing. You can't stand in the way of love. And I think that's important. I think it's incredibly important not to stand in the way of love. So that's what we're doing here. We are not standing in the way of love or kinks. So just I don't know. I found it on Twitter. It does appear that he has two left feet, and that his foot currently being kissed seems to have a protuberance coming out of it, as the great Michael Scott would say. Please, Jay, I can only get so erect. Sorry. I know. I didn't think about that. I didn't think about the blood flow that you guys are losing from your brains. I am gonna have to take it down because I want people to be able to function and to think, and I don't want everybody just aroused for the next 3.5 hours. So I'll take it down. But I thought we'd start with that. Just because that's what I wanted to do this morning. It's good to see you guys. Happy Tuesday to everybody. I got done early getting this shit done this morning. I didn't know. I got done so early that I thought maybe like, do I start earlier? Did the time, like, how am I done early? So anyways, it's good to have you guys here. I wanted to start off with this just because my friend, I wish my friend Shane Gillis, his producer, made me really happy with a story that he told. It's not related to politics at all, but it just made me happy, and maybe it'll make you happy.
Yeah, I wasn't zen last night. I almost got in a fight.
With who?
Some random bar patron.
Oh, it's crazy, bro. This is not. The story's actually wild.
He was just doing cooking with his bros in the bathroom, and they were being like girls and being very loud. So I turned and looked at them while I was peeing at the urinal, and he said, "What are you looking at?"
Whoa.
So then when I left, I ripped his beer out of his hand and I threw it in the garbage can. I said, "No, you don't have a beer anymore because you can't talk to people like that."
That was actually pretty zen.
Yeah, true.
I taught him a very zen lesson.
And then he came out to the bar and was like, "You need to get me a new beer." And I was like, "I'm not getting you a beer because you called me a." And then he was like, "You have to get me a beer." And then I got my biggest, blackest friend that was around me and said, "Do you think I owe him a beer?" And he said, "No." And then that was the end of the problem.
Nice.
Pretty sick.
Shout out to Charles. Yeah, I wasn't
Shout out
last
to
night.
Charles.
I almost got.
I saw it and I liked it. I just really liked it. Who's here from Ohio? We got any Ohio folks here today? Anybody here from Ohio? Ohio is giving a big fuck you to their voters. In Ohio, they legalized both medicinal and recreational cannabis. I think we have to say that differently. Like, I think I have to be careful in the way that I say that. So naturally, the state Congress of Ohio was like, we don't give a shit about voters. And so they took Senate Bill 56, and like some state governments do, they just start changing it because ultimately they have say over the voters. And so they decided that they were going to change a few things. Some of the things they've changed is they combine adult use and medical marijuana licenses and require licensed cultivators, processors, dispensaries, and laboratories to work with both adult use and medical marijuana. All of this seems good. Like, this is the bill as introduced. This is all great, right? They condense the operations of the Division of Cannabis and the Division of Marijuana Control into the DCC. Basically say, like, hey, you got to serve both recreational and medicinal users of cannabis. It required a lottery system. This was actually cool. Something that most states didn't do. They used a lottery system to issue licenses. In Utah, where some good friends of mine ran the cannabis legislation, one of the things that Utah did that was different is you had to bid on a cannabis license, and there were certain like capital requirements. I think it was something like $20 million too. It was a pretty insane level of capital requirements, and so there was no real bidding system. It was just like rich people got to run cannabis, and that's what they did. And eventually, they're going to exit once it goes recreational. That will be their exit, and they'll make a fortune. And I'm happy for my friend who got involved, who was not one of the rich people. He just was one of the smart people that didn't have money, so they kept him on to run the whole thing. Anyway, so it was a cool thing that happened in Ohio until in Ohio, basically what they've done is they've said we are now going to criminalize recreational adult use. We're gonna recriminalize it. Even though we decriminalized it, we're going to recriminalize it. We took this bill that said essentially we have to treat everybody the same, and they're now going to say nope, can't do that. We have to recriminalize cannabis. So if you live in Ohio, make sure you have your medical card. Von Sweet, good question. What's an Ohio? An Ohio is a thing that creates J.D. Vance, which sucks. They made J.D. Vance, so we shouldn't really expect anything differently. Tarloff, our good friend Jessica Tarloff over at Fox News. I'm just covering a couple headlines, and we'll get into the meat of it. Look, this is petty. I don't want to. The reason I'm covering this is just to show like this constant like Fox News bending the knee. Do I give a single solitary shit that Donald Trump went to the Daytona 500? No, I don't. Do I care if any president goes to those things? No, I don't. I do, however, recognize that anytime Joe Biden went to the beach, there was like 3 hours of coverage every day from Fox News. Like, look at Joe Biden under an umbrella. He's supposed to be working. The American people should be furious. But when Trump goes to the Super Bowl, when he goes to Daytona, now he's back at Mar-a-Lago. He's doing like 3 fundraisers. For God knows why. He can't run again, but he's doing fundraisers. He's there at Mar-a-Lago running fundraisers, going to Daytona 500, and Fox is like, this is the greatest thing ever. Look at him. He went to a race, and they drove his car around in an oval. Can you believe it? What an amazing guy. And Tarloff just correctly points out, like, you guys would lose your fucking minds if this was Joe Biden.
I've heard, and you say if Joe Biden had done this, if Joe Biden had shown up at the Daytona 500 while there were people living under emergency declarations and passing away. In Georgia, a tree fell into a guy's house and ended up killing him.
Do you think this is a fair comparison that you're taking? This is not a hurricane event. You're talking about storm. So he needs to respond to every single death?
No.
Yeah, how about every single time somebody lost their life at the hands of somebody who was here illegally? How about every single time Fox News ran for a week straight, why didn't Joe Biden stop this? Do you see like how quickly they shift from the president should stop everything to what do you expect the president to do? Again, I don't really care. Look, it costs, anytime the president goes anywhere, it costs us money. And I think it's the wrong argument. The right argument for Donald Trump is that every time he goes somewhere, it costs us money and he makes money. Because he keeps going to Mar-a-Lago and Bedminster, and then he charges the government for Secret Service and staff to stay there. He charges them for everything. The real problem I have with Donald Trump going to Mar-a-Lago and Bedminster all the time is that he charges the government. If he was going there and like Secret Service, you can stay here for free, cool. But he's not. He's charging them. And we know from his first administration, and it'll come out in this one too, we know from his first administration that not only was he not giving a discount, he was actually charging higher rates to Secret Service and government employees when they stayed at Mar-a-Lago and Bedminster versus if he brought somebody else, right?
Then he wouldn't be president.
Well, he needs to, I think, say something when the whole point was criticizing Joe Biden for absolutely everything that he ever did. I mean,
Because he never did anything. Start with
Really?
Here comes in Winebox. He didn't do anything. See, that's why we criticize him, because he didn't do anything. Tarloff just has to wait till Judge Janine's falls back asleep.
We've gone through it multiple times about how quickly he signed emergency declarations.
How about East Palestine?
How about you just say that maybe you shouldn't be driving around a race car track when this is going on?
No.
I've heard.
See, they just did both arguments. You got Greg Gutfeld over there after his return from Mordor, being like, what's he supposed to do? And then Winebox Janine jumps in. Joe Biden didn't do anything. What about East Palestine? They're on two different sides of that argument. freaking Gollum is trying to say that, oh, no, we don't care about that stuff. Like, and then Judge Janine's like, oh, we cared about all that stuff. Like, could they keep their story straight for 2 seconds? Could they keep like their arguments straight for 2 seconds? Actually, I'm going to put this in order because I'm going to take this out of order. This is going to be under, I think DOGE. Is it DOGE shit or is it the free speech part? Sorry, I should have put this in this order in the first place, but this will actually play. Give me 1 second. All right, this is under free speech, number 5 under free speech. For who, I don't know who's doing. Is it Casey doing the outline? Here's Jesse Waters here, telling you why and telling you exactly what Fox News is doing. This was alarming. I was shocked. Not that this is what Fox is doing, because of course this is what Fox is doing. I was shocked to hear them brag about it. Like, I think I tweeted today that somewhere buried in the ground, Joseph Goebbels got like an incredibly firm erection for a dead guy when he heard Jesse Waters say this. Of course, Joseph Goebbels is like the master of propaganda from the Nazi regime, who did a great job of like disseminating information from a top down, and they used what they called a blitzkrieg, which is that there was so much information so fast and so unified and so succinct that to the people of Germany, they're like, oh, this must all be true because it's hitting us so fast, and the same message is coming from the top, and it spreads out everywhere, so it must be true. Here's Jesse Waters bragging about doing a blitzkrieg in a world, in a country right now where like Republicans cannot keep up with their own shit. Like, Republicans are still coming out and talking about, like, what about all the money we spent on condoms in Gaza? It's like, bro, we debunked that 2 weeks ago. Elon said that wasn't true. But there's so many lies that come out that Republicans can't even keep up. They're still repeating the same lies. And here's Jesse Waters with a full erection to say, like, here's what we're doing.
It's not really the same. Dana, we are waging a 21st century information warfare campaign against the left, and they are using tactics from the 1990s. They are holding tiny press conferences, tiny little rallies. They're screaming into the ether on MSNBC.
The Democrats are going to rallies. They're writing articles that are sourced. They're trying to have nuanced discussion. They're fact-checking what Elon's doing, and he's like, what a bunch of bitches.
This is what you call top-down command and control. You get your talking points from a newspaper, and you put it on the broadcast network, and then it disappears. What you're seeing on the right is asymmetrical. It's like grassroots guerrilla warfare. Someone says something on social media, Musk retweets it, Rogan podcasts it, Fox broadcasts it, and by the time it reaches everybody, millions of people have seen it.
So Fox is admitting that they are taking their talking points from Twitter, specifically from Elon. Fox News is sitting around watching Elon retweet stuff and then going, yep, we're airing that. See how stupid this is? Do you see how crazy that is? One guy. They're just saying, like, we're so much better at this because whatever Elon says, we just amplify. And then he implicates Joe Rogan. He's like, whatever Elon says, Joe Rogan spits out and regurgitates, and then we run it. And we get to pretend that it's grassroots. It's not grassroots. It's Elon. It is top down. They're just pretending that, like, they're above Elon. And for some reason, like, it's like the Citizen, Elon, Rogan, Fox News. But it's not. It's Elon, Rogan, Fox News, Citizen. And Elon just retweets shit that, like, amplifies what he's saying. I was reading an article today of like these conservative people on here's a good example. Older millennial who's everybody, like, in all the people that I've interacted with online, which is not everybody, but in everybody that I've ever interacted with online, nobody has ever caused more people on the right to message me and say, that guy's a fucking idiot, more than older millennial. Every time I debate older millennial, if I go to my inbox after, there's a dozen Republicans going like, I don't really like your politics, but this guy's a fucking idiot. And I just want you to know that we don't really want to associate with him because he's a fucking idiot. But he has millions of followers. How? exactly what Jesse Waters is talking about. You take somebody like Elon Musk, who's incredibly influential, and Elon Musk retweets that person. And so then Elon doesn't have to stand by it. Trump did this in his first presidency, when Trump would retweet QAnon accounts. And then they're like, wait, why'd you retweet that QAnon account? That's crazy. That person just said that Hillary Clinton's eating babies. He's like, I didn't write it. I just thought it was important to get it out there. I don't stand by my retweets. They are not endorsements from me. Even though a retweet is an endorsement. You're saying, I endorse this. Unless you're adding commentary saying, this is not what I think, but it's interesting that this person thinks this, which they don't do. That's how so many morons are at the top of the GOP. Like, that's why so many morons are like the top level of their media. There's some intelligent people. And I'll say, like, I've debated people on TikTok that are far more qualified and understand far more than Jesse Waters or Elon Musk, certainly more than older millennial. Every time older millennials on a panel, he's the dumbest guy up there, and he speaks more than anybody because people are like, oh, he has millions of followers. He must be intelligent. What they're talking about consistently is just like they are Fox News is just there to reflect what Elon does. This is the propaganda arm of not the GOP, of Elon Musk.
It's free money. And we're actually talking about expressing information. They are suppressing information.
I don't understand how that's suppressing information. I don't know what the fuck he's talking about there, but I'll get into the Republicans suppressing information here in a few minutes. We'll get there. Just wanted to show you one clip today because I didn't see any pushback. This is what's happening over on the Judiciary. The Judiciary keeps calling in these same fucking losers like Matt Taibbi they're rehashing the Twitter files. That's what our Judiciary is doing now. They've already brought all these people in to testify like 15 times. Dan Goldman brought it up the other day. He's like, I'd like to congratulate you, Jim Jordan, on this only being the 5th hearing with the exact same people. But Harriet Hageman, who is from, she replaced, I'm pretty sure she's the one that replaced Liz Cheney in Wyoming. She has a prepared statement that clearly is written by a very pro-Elon moron, and she doesn't ask a single question. She uses her full 5 minutes to monologue, and nobody pushes back, so I'm going to do it.
Oh, this committee has worked tirelessly over the past 2 years to expose the censorship industrial complex and how censorship has permeated so many of our once trusted institutions. We have confirmed, for example, that the Biden administration pressured and coerced Facebook, Meta, and other social media companies to remove true and accurate content, including the fact that the Hunter Biden laptop, in all of its horrific glory, did in fact belong to him and was an honest depiction of not only his life, but of his corruption.
Now, she read that because she's stupid, and she just takes her talking points, but nobody ever said, and we got to do this every fucking time, this is a member of Congress, okay? This isn't like your stupid uncle. I mean, it is like your stupid uncle, but they're also a member of Congress. Nobody ever once, one single time, censored information that said Hunter Biden had a laptop, or that the FBI had Hunter Biden's laptop, or that Hunter Biden's laptop contained pictures or emails from Hunter Biden. All anybody ever said was the laptop. We cannot confirm what you're saying from the laptop because, one, we don't have the laptop, and two, the person who keeps putting out the information, Rudy Giuliani, gave us information multiple times that was edited after the laptop was secured by the FBI. So it couldn't possibly have been edited by Hunter Biden. They're still running with the same lies from 3 years ago. For everybody celebrating Elon Musk, they're like, look what he's doing. Well, look what your Congress is doing. They're rehashing stories that have been debunked 50,000 times, and they're just reading it off of paper here because she's an idiot. They don't know what they literally take all of their talking points from Elon. She's no different than Jesse Waters. She shows up and they're like, Harriet, here's the script for today. Don't take any questions. Just read the script.
We exposed the World Federation of Advertisers, or WFA, and its evil spawn, the Global Alliance for Responsible Media, or GARM, as being in reality a $1 trillion antitrust operation designed to prevent conservative media from generating revenue through advertising sales.
And what she's talking about is a bunch of people who came together and were like, "We're Elon. If you're going to have Nazis, we're not advertising." And she It's a global cabal. It's a conspiracy theory that they work together to make sure that conservatives couldn't get advertising. Somebody's got to explain to me how the conservatives on social media, how the conservatives on Twitter, the conservatives on Facebook, the conservatives on Instagram, the conservatives on YouTube, the conservatives on Twitch, the conservatives on Kick, the conservatives on Rumble. How come they all make so much more money than we do then? If there's this great cabal to silence them, why do they make so much more money? How come the highest paid people are all conservatives? How did that happen?
We informed the public that their government, a government that they pay for, was using third parties to prevent them from obtaining accurate information about COVID-19 and the efficacy of the vaccines. We exposed the long-term effort by our so-called political betters to censor our speech, to prevent us from freely exercising our religion, to prohibit us from assembling peaceably, to destroy freedom of the press, and to block our ability to...
First of all, nobody censored COVID information that wasn't like provably false. It just never happened. If you were out there saying Dr. Fauci helped the Wuhan lab create the COVID virus in order to spread it to Americans, yeah, that might be censored because you don't have evidence of that. What was the second part she just said? Sorry, I forgot.
Prohibit us from assembling peaceably.
Oh, yeah. Now she's going to talk about COVID lockdowns. Like, they went after Christians. No, they didn't. They just said Christians don't get a special exemption. And Christians are like, if we don't get special exemptions, then this is unfair. They just told Christians that they had to do the same thing everybody else did, and that was on a state and local level.
Destroy freedom of the press and to block our ability to petition our government for redress, the 5 pillars of the First Amendment to the United States Constitution. To say that what we learned is frightful and frightening is an understatement. It is the absolute antithesis of a free...
What was frightening about that? If we've got Republicans, by the way, if there are Republicans here and they show up and they want to disagree, we can get you on Discord and you can talk on the show with me. We'll talk one-on-one. But we couldn't go to church. That was terrifying. What about everybody else? Could they just go where they wanted? No, they also couldn't go to the places they wanted to. But because of our beliefs, it was worse for us. It was terrifying. By the way, why do you need to go to church? They gave you the book. You got the blueprint there. Just read the book.
And as a society, if we cannot speak truth to power, we have no power. If the government can block the dissemination of valid, legitimate, and accurate information about our very health care, then we are serfs, not free people. If the entire mainstream media complex is turned into a government mouthpiece, corruption becomes the order of the day, and freedom, equal protection, the rule of law, and accountability mean nothing. There were numerous people who helped expose this scandal, including several on this panel today, and the American people thank you.
I would like to once and for all point out the Twitter files were absolute dog shit propaganda, cultivated and carefully curated by Elon Musk. So Matt Taibbi only had access to what Elon Musk wanted him to see, so that they could bring up that the people who owned Twitter before were so bad. That way Elon could explain why him taking over Twitter in a terrible business move was warranted. It was completely curated. And by the way, once Matt Taibbi started getting pushback and he started reporting honestly on the Twitter files, like when he said, oh yeah, the only instance when the government actually told somebody to take something down was when Trump called Chrissy Teigen called Trump a pussy ass bitch and he demanded it be taken down. Yes, I realize that's the only time that they actually did this. Then Elon cut off his link to Substack. Then Elon went at Matt Taibbi and was like, no, dude, you can't broadcast your work on Substack that's critical of me on Twitter, so I'm going to disable links to Substack. Squashing his speech totally. And, by the way, that's where Matt Taibbi makes his money, on Substack. Which, by the way, if you're following Matt Taibbi on Substack, go fuck yourself, because you're wasting your money.
Your willingness to take on the censorship industrial complex is admirable, and it is not hyperbole to say that you had a hand in saving our republic.
It is hyperbole, and it's stupid.
We also learned that this censorship apparatus was not limited to just a few federal employees, but was a whole-of-government approach that was launched to protect the Bidens, Fauci, Mayorkas, and others, while targeting Trump supporters and the disfavored. And here we are. The dust has largely settled, and we have wrested control away.
I'm done with her. I thought I was going to make it through 5 minutes. I'm not. I can't fucking do it with her. Like they're complaining, like the people in Congress that you pay, that we all pay, they're spending their time rehashing arguments from when was that? It was like Twitter Files was 2022. Yeah, like 3 years ago. Cool, Congress. Thanks for all your hard work. While Elon Musk is doing your actual job, you're out here complaining about how everybody was censored. Let me get back to the outline here. Let me read a couple comments that came through already. Thank you for the super chats and for the comments. As a reminder, below the screen here is the Venmo, Cash App, and PayPal. If you can help us accomplish our goals every day, that'd be great. Dreamliner, thanks for the super chat. Says she looks like George Santos in pearls. Charles said, I lost it when I seen that. Made my day. I think he was talking about the toe sucking, which if you missed the toe sucking, congratulations. That's a win for you today. Let's see here. I bet I know. I bet it's Asta Sophia. Judith says, for RTP Media, thank you for the donation there, Judith. Got that one. I swear something else came in. What's going on here? I swear I just read oh, maybe not. Maybe not. All right. Did I hear Jen?
Yep.
Oh, hey.
Yeah, that thing that was foul.
You loved it. Jen
That was so
Jen
gross.
sent it to me and she was like, I might be late because I'm going to be watching this.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. That was wrong. Anyway, so you want to know we're at I did another update for our subscribers.
Ah, fuck.
We need 162 left for our calendar, guys.
God damn it. This is the
162.
This is the worst deal I've ever made.
I mean, it was all on you. This was all you.
I know.
I mean, I'm just here tracking the progress.
I just shouldn't. I don't think I should be held. I don't think it should be held to deals that I make when I'm high. I don't think that's fair.
That sounds like Ash, dude.
Yeah.
Can't stand you, Ash. Anyway. Yeah, no, that's all on you. You're a grown up. You're starting to sound like Trump or conservatives if you make that claim like that. That you're not responsible for things that you do. So you have to be an adult. This is what we do on the left, where we keep our end of the bargain and we say what we're gonna say. All that.
Yeah.
But,
Deals.
yeah. So we're what?
I'm getting made fun of for how I say deal. Deal. I say deal, and it's deal.
Mm-hmm.
Don't hold me to my deals.
Yeah. So we've got 153 subs on Twitch, 185 on YouTube, so 338 total. So 162 left for like 500 to get our calendar. If you're on Twitch, you can use your Amazon Prime sub. Use Amazon funds to fund that, or you could. There's also a paid option if you want to use that. On YouTube, we've got 4 different options that you can pick from if you'd like. Any level gets us towards that 500 number, so that would be fantastic. So 283 is the gift goal balance. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So we go to about 1 Pacific time each day. So we've got about 3 hours. So if we could Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, Super Chats all go towards hitting that goal. This is our job. We do this every day. So we need to hit that goal to keep doing what we're doing. If you'd like to invite to the Discord, you can send any mod a message and we can send you a link to the Discord. Or you can DM me on Discord directly, Jen, JENN, DUBB, the number 1. I can get you an invite to join. It's fun. We poke on it Jay often and have all these facts and stories that we cover during the live, so you can get all the links for that there.
Do we have a cat turd simp in the chat? Is that somebody that is simping for cat turd? That's crazy.
I don't know if they're simping, but I don't know who they are. But it does say cat turd in the chat. So,
yeah.
But
text. Stop telling people me and Nick Fuentes are on the same side of most things. Just I'm on the same side of Nick Fuentes on some things. To not most things.
I mean, you're not a virgin, so there's one thing you and Nick Fuentes aren't talking about the same side.
Well, listen, there's rumors that Nick Fuentes isn't either, but from the video I saw with Destiny, I don't think Nick Fuentes is
Is that
interested
Trump
in.
losing your virginity?
Well, I don't think Nick Fuentes is interested in the same people that I am. I'll just say it that way. Yeah.
But I was my point was I wasn't sure if that would classify as losing your virginity, but that's just
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
that's possible. Anyway, so before my other grandpa that I have, he was saying to me that our generation relies too much on technology. So I unplugged his life support.
You psycho. Thank you. Guys, want to see Joe Rogan getting so close? You want
Lower and middle class lost
Joe
3.9.
Rogan edging. He's edging to the truth. He's so close. I saw this morning. I was like, oh, he's got it. He finally did it, but then he doesn't. But watch Joe Rogan get so close here.
Lower and middle class lost $3.9 billion. I think it was like $3.9 trillion. And then that money was transferred to the wealthiest people gained that money. How? What happened? Stocks, mutual funds, what magic are you doing? Like something happened, and through your policies, you enabled the wealthiest people to get way wealthier and the poorer people to get way poorer. That's a crazy amount of money that gets transferred, and no one is like freaked out that this was by policies. And this is by keeping everybody's business shut down. But the problem is, yachts aren't cheap, bro.
You see how close he was? And then he's like, and then he did COVID lockdowns. He was so close. He was so close to realizing our system is rigged. You know how we know that it's not because of COVID lockdowns? Is because it kept going after COVID. It's still going. It's going right now. Elon Musk doubled his net worth since the election. Look how close he got. He was so close. And then he's like, it's Biden. It's like, no, it's trickle-down economics. It's cutting taxes for the billionaires. And by the way, where are those billionaires now that got all that wealth during COVID? Where are they? They're in Trump's fucking cabinet. They got all the money, convinced you guys it was Joe Biden's fault, and then jumped in bed with Donald Trump, and they're in his cabinet now. This is what I don't get about Republicans. Like, you guys are so desperate to win. You guys have spent, and I get it, you've been whipped up into such a fucking frenzy that you're like, you're the bad guys, we're the good guys. And like 3 years ago, it was like, fuck Mark Zuckerberg, fuck Elon Musk, fuck Jeff Bezos. And now they're on stage and they're writing the policy. And you think they did that because they're like, oh, well, Trump had it right. We better give that money back. And then they gave him a bunch of money, and he's like, hey, guys, want some tax cuts? Hey, Elon, what if we privatized the FAA and just paid all the money to you instead of to federal employees? What if we just did that? And Elon's like, yeah, I think that's a pretty good idea, I guess. Like, this is crazy. The same thing with old, what was that idiot's name I just played? Whatever her name was, did we delete it? Harriet Hageman. How about Harriet Hageman? Saying the same thing, like these big tech companies were censoring Americans. Yeah, where are they? Who are they with? The one person that demanded they take something down, they've sided with that person. And now they're censoring speech. They're like actually censoring speech, not censoring obvious misinformation, but throttling speech. I've showed you guys this before, and I'm going to bring it up every single day. And I want you to ask other liberal content creators that are on Twitter. Ask them to show you their graph of engagement pre-election and post-election. And you will see that with everyone I've seen so far, there's about 12 people I've asked and I've seen. Every one of them, engagement was flat. Post-election, it went up. How did that happen? How did that happen? Go look at the people on the right. Look at their engagement. Go look at Patrick Bet-David's engagement. People that you can get publicly available information. Patrick Bet-David's information was skyrocketing, and then it fell. It fell after the election. How come all the right-wingers' engagement fell and all the left-wingers went up? It's because they had filters on. They were filtering out our engagement. And now, like, for anybody who wants to call Twitter free speech, get fucked. Like, literally get fucked. You guys hear what I'm saying? I'm not an Elon stan. Here's my For You page. Let's just watch. I just clicked on it. For You page. 20 hours ago. Oh, now I refreshed it. Who's on top? Let's refresh it again. Who's on top? Let's refresh it again. Who's on top? Refresh it again. Who's on top? Every time I refresh my For You page, it's Elon Musk. Really? And then I got Shank. Okay, good, Shank. How many more do we have to go through before it's Elon? Mike Lee. John Cooper tweeting about Elon. Adam Schiff tweeting about Elon. Elon Musk. Mark Wayne Mullen, he's talking, we're just criticizing. I'm a lefty. Why is my For You page nothing but right-wingers? How's this my For You page? Oh, we're anti-China. We got Dave Portnoy there. Elon Musk again. Elon Musk. James Wood. Robbie Starbuck. I don't know whoever that is. Now, if I could look who I'm following, these are the people I engage with. If I go to following, weird. Why is my For You page, why doesn't it mimic my following? Why not? This is what I'm engaging with. This is what I'm telling. Look, I'll even like it. I'm telling Elon every time I go, like, hey, here's what I like. I'd like to see more Emma Vigeland, please. 2 million subscribers on YouTube. An hour later, she's only got 7,000 impressions. Okay. 240 impressions from an hour ago. Okay. If this is free speech censorship to its core. And then watch this. If I go to Cat Turd, because we had Cat Turd there. Oh, is Cat Turd 2? Is this the real Cat Turd 2? It makes sense they would be in comments. If this is the real Cat Turd that was in the chat, great. Everyone complaining is a criminal in on the theft. 100% guaranteed. Bye. And Cat Turd's got how many followers? He literally doesn't do anything. Just retweets the same shit Elon does. That's how you rise on X. If you retweet the shit that Elon likes, 3.5 million followers. This guy right here. If this is Cat Turd, I would love to debate you someday, my friend. I would love to pick your brain on whatever's left in there. Anyways, Joe Rogan was close. I was proud of Joe Rogan for like 2 seconds when I thought he was close. This popped up right before we started, so we're gonna watch it.
Our next guest is sounding
live reaction. Alex Karp went on CNBC. One thing I hate about CNBC is that they're a financial channel. So if you're going to bring on people like Alex Karp and you're going to ask him financial questions, go ahead and ask financial questions. But if you're going to bring on Alex Karp and you're just going to let him spew nonsensical political shit, then what's he doing on your channel? If none of you are going to offer pushback, why is Alex Karp on your channel? You'll remember Alex Karp. He's the CEO of Palantir. He looks like he looks like the brother of is it Marv on is it Marv that's on Home Alone? Anyways, I don't remember. I think it's Marv.
The alarm that Silicon Valley and the West have lost their way. Joining us right now is Alex Karp, Palantir CEO and co-founder. His first book is out this morning.
CEO of Palantir and co-founder of the Wet Bandits and the Sticky Bandits.
The Technological Republic, Hard Power, Soft Belief, and the Future of the West. We want to thank you for joining us.
It's kind of risque.
It's a little risque, you think?
The title, it's hard to know if it's like an off-color movie, Hard Power, Soft. But
he didn't like the introduction, so he's like, let me give you a better introduction. It's kind of risque. It's a tease. Like now he's just selling himself. He didn't like the introduction he just got.
Oh, I like that. Wow. He goes there early.
It's hard to know. It's hard to know.
I have about a million questions about the book, but before we get there, I just want to ask you a couple things about the news, because interestingly, I would say the book, which you wrote a year ago, in a way, you were predicting where we would be today in terms of some of the big issues.
The interesting thing, basically, what people should, it's not actually the standard book.
By the way, I just want to point out, his book is called The Technological Republic. They don't want democracy. They want to be in charge. And I'll get to some of this stuff later, but just look at the book. Just look at the title of the fucking book. The book is, hey, the nerds are taking over. Fuck democracy. That's what they should have called it.
Book
shout out to nerds, like the cool nerds, not the ones who were like nerds and then sold out for money. Shout out to the cool nerds.
2 forms. Either promote yourself, it should be Karp AI, or it's somebody running for president. I'm doing neither. And so the book really is an attempt to say, look, everything you learned.
Best super chat joke about Alex Karp today. I will send you a RTP Tumblr. Do I have it here? Yeah. Well, we'll do this one. I will send you best joke about Alex Karp. I will send you this RTP Farms Tumblr. Not this one, unless you want it. It has my germs in it, but I'll send you one of these.
At your school and college about how the world works is intellectually incorrect. And here is a way of seeing the world that may not be right, but it's not wrong. And so trying to be right is very hard, but you can definitely know what's wrong. And what you've been taught in college.
That's Republicanism 101. Sorry, I stop it every 5 seconds, but that's the ideology. Like, you don't have to be right about things. You just have to keep pointing to things are wrong. It's so easy. And he's right. It's easy to point to things are wrong or that are wrong. It's hard to be right or to get it right. And Republicanism is pointing at things that are wrong and never letting that finger turn around to yourself.
That you basically should have no beliefs, that the West is inferior, that the intellectual tradition of the West, it leads to self-flagellation and losing on the battlefield, losing intellectually, losing your party, losing your country, losing your border, that your institutions can't work because we're so good. It's actually wrong. And the West was actually never about that. And you can be good, decent, and win, and be intellectually correct. And what was absolutely spot on about what's in the book is we have this technological revolution. It's no longer fake. 3-4 years ago, institutions basically thought I'd rather have a good steak dinner and a bad product, and at least I get the steak dinner because the software product doesn't work. Now we are in a software-defined world, and the nation that leads software is the USA. And
what's the massive software evolution that we've seen in the last 3-4 years? What's he talking like Palantir maybe, which is just spying on you? By the way, it's just a CIA. Government group that's going to spy on you. Like, what's this massive technological expansion that happened from 3 years ago when you just went and bought a steak dinner? I don't even know what he's talking about. Like, oh, we have a steak dinner. The product sucks. The restaurant sucks. I don't know what he's saying. But like, what changed? What changed is that him and all of his friends bought a president and a vice president and an entire party. And the reason they were able to take over this party is because everybody in the party, everybody in elected office is dumb. They don't have any real ideas, and nobody cares about their ideas. So they're just piggybacking off of these tech guys because they realize that the tech guys are on their side. And if they just agree with the tech people, nobody's going to realize they're dumb.
And so what does that mean for all institutions? What it means is those institutions have to actually live up to their core mandate. So a country has to have a border, the educational institutions have to work, the military actually has to be scary. You actually can have things function in a way where the outputs are much greater than the inputs. And people who ignore this are going to be washed away.
Why'd you write this?
That's so generic. That's none of. He's not saying anything. We all get that, right? Like, he's not saying anything.
The educational system. Did you think that they were teaching the wrong things?
What sparked it? Look, I think the West, as a notion and as a principle upon which it is executed again, is obviously superior. Mm-hmm. And not acknowledging that, because by not acknowledging it or denying it, you could pretend you were smarter or better than you were, has led to enormous problems in our society. And also, for the sake of humanity.
Is anybody counting how many specifics has he given? Is it still zero? Oh, it's still zero. He's just like, I have money. You must listen. I'm going to now speak generically.
We have been blessed with a resource called talent management, and software production that no other country has.
Talent management, and talent software are not resource. It's not a resource that we were blessed with. You're not blessed with any of that.
So what does that mean for us? What does it mean for the world? How do you manage that ethically? How do you, and how do you prevent what we had essentially? We had a pagan religion that has infiltrated our universities, and that pagan religion basically says everything that's good about America, everything that actually works. is ipso facto bad.
That's what they're teaching at the universities. Everybody at universities is as goddamn dumb as Alex Karp. They just show up. They're like, thank you for your $80,000. And now for your pagan indoctrination, everything in America is bad. And they're like, fuck, I'm glad I paid that $80,000. This is the most, like, if this guy was debating on TikTok, the Republicans would be like, fuck, we're not claiming this guy. He's an idiot. He's saying nothing. What the fuck is he talking? There's a pagan religion that has infiltrated the universities, and they say America bad. Okay. All right.
And by the way, you can't talk about it not working because it's a religion. So it's not even, it's a new religion. It's not an old great religion.
Talk about it.
Judaism, Christianity, Islam. It's a new religion, and the tenets are West is bad, nothing can work. If it works, it's bad, and the West is, and that way of thinking has corroded every aspect of our society. Last not least,
you're an incredible piece of garbage. Like, and your ideas are so bad that you have to create a straw man that literally exists nowhere. In order for you to sound sensible, you have to say, because you haven't offered any solutions, you haven't said anything remotely interesting or remotely substantive. So, and this is what he said at the very beginning. What you do is you point at bad, 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 and you don't offer any real solutions. But if you do that, a bunch of fucking morons are going to follow you. So now you create this straw man that doesn't exist. Universities are a religion that say everything America does is bad. Nonsense. Nobody says that. No school says that. We're the ones defending the Constitution right now. We're the ones that are like, hey, we kind of like that document. Could we not hand over the Constitution to Elon Musk real quick? Could we remember that there's checks and balances? Just real quick. Could we not get rid of all the judges who provide a check on the executive branch? Just real quick. And Congress, could you control the purse like you're supposed to? Just real quick. And he's like, you're saying America bad. All right. Like, if you have to dumb it down to that level, then you don't have a very good argument.
It leads to a situation where you get a complete corrosion of all institutions and to a legitimacy crisis. So no one actually believes anyone's an expert. I'll just make this last point. In the 50s.
What does that mean? No one believes that anybody's an expert. What are you talking about? The problem that we have here is that we stopped believing experts and we started listening to cat turd. And we started listening to older millennial, and we started listening to Marjorie Taylor Greene. The problem is you guys won't let the experts be the experts. You're like, everybody's just an expert. This is your argument. This is right-wing argument. How are we the party, or how are we the side that doesn't believe in experts when we're begging you guys to believe the experts all the time instead of fucking cat turd?
If there was this famous professor, Ken Arrow, and if Ken Arrow said you were smart, you got tenure. And why did that happen? It was because people knew Ken Arrow is smart. The institution he represents is the best in the world. There is no...
Let me offer a counter to that. Republicans believe if you are rich, you are smart. And if you are not rich, you are dumb. And so by default, if you are rich, you are smart. I don't know who the hell I don't know who Professor Arrow is. I've never heard of Professor Arrow. I don't know who that is. I have this sneaking suspicion that he is not the one choosing who gets tenure and who doesn't get tenure. But he's describing what they do. Remember the debate I had the other day on Admir's Live? That's where remember when they get pigeonholed? They're like, oh, well, do you have $1 billion? No. Okay, well then shut the fuck up. Oh, okay. Got it. Yeah, only rich people are smart. That's what they're doing. Alex Karp hasn't said anything here. He's on CNBC, not because he's smart, but because he's rich. And they let him talk like he's smart because he's rich.
Honestly, the only thing like that currently in tech is a Palantir degree. If you work for Palantir, everyone knows you're good. And that's basically, none of these, like when we went to school, the schools actually had credibility. The people, the science.
That only works if you worked for my company. If you worked for my company, you're smart. Nunya Business says, Alex offered his forehead as a canvas to screen Birth of a Nation at the White House. Toby says Alex looks like the Grand Wizard of the Titty Milk Boys. FOD, dating Alex Karp is dangerous. He's already been inside your phone, your emails, and your porn selection before you even text back. Who would want to know what he gets inside before dinner? Also, this guy has offered his 6 head as a canvas for screening Birth of the Nation. Yes, well done. I think so far, I've been liking the Birth of the Nation one so far. That's the leader in the clubhouse. Well done, Nunya.
Was actually science. You could.
Okay, so let me just ask you, and then I want to actually get into some of the news, but what would you do to bring it back, and do you think we're on that path now?
Well, I think actually, so one of the things that's not in the book, I think if you read the book, it reads like it was written today. But so one of the things that I would, if I were writing the book today, there's a sense that people have that there's a pendulum swing. So if you if you look at institutions that are failing and you talk to the smart.
A pendulum swing is like this, by the way. It's not like this. It's not like this. That's not a pendulum swing is.
People there, universities, UN, Democratic Party, they'll tell you there's going to be a pendulum swing back. But AI is actually breaking the pendulum spring.
I think he might be talking about like I don't think he's talking about pendulums. Maybe he's talking about like the Overton window, shifting the Overton window. I don't know what he's saying. It's certainly not a pendulum swing, but this guy's brilliant.
So what Europe thinks, if you like, I spent half my life in Germany. You talk to smart Germans, they're like, okay, we're having a bad time. We're going to have a good time. We did this under Schröder. It'll come back. We don't actually agree with all the stuff that people say. We can't say it publicly. That's what they say. Okay, but what they're not understanding is the technical revolution now is so great, you got to get on the train because that train is leaving and there is not going to be a swing back. So
the part I left out in my book is that we've taken over. Do you hear what he's saying? The part I left out in the book is if you don't join us, you will lose. It's over for you. We have so much power, and that was left out in the book that I wrote 3 years ago because I didn't know how easy it was going to be to buy Donald Trump. But now here we are, and he's telling you the tech world. He hasn't mentioned Trump. He hasn't mentioned it. The only thing he's actually mentioned is Palantir. These people believe they are running the world, and they're not way off right now. But Republicans. Sweet, dude. This is who you voted for? You voted for Alex Karp? Because he's saying they're running shit. He's saying that it's them. They're leading the technological revolution.
I'm trying to say to people who are on the pendulum, people who are builders, is like, we have a responsibility. We have to be dedicated to our nation. What I'm saying to people who may think they can get off the train, university intellectuals, United Nations dedicated to undermining America and anyone who's Jewish or something. You're being left behind, and by the way, I'm happy you're being left behind, but just know, if you get left behind, do not cry that you're not part of the dialogue. Right. And that's actually what's happening. They're like,
if you don't agree with us, fuck you, you're left behind. And also, shut the fuck up about it. Don't cry about it. Don't cry about it if you get left behind, because, again, we are Palantir. We are the ones running the show. I can't believe how good this was. I hadn't watched it yet. I can't believe how good this is. If Republicans are watching this and this doesn't scare you to death, that like this guy's just running shit now and he's basically saying get on board or you're fucked, I don't know what to tell you.
Like all these people are becoming protest parties. It's like I grew up protesting in D.C. with my parents and no one listened. If you want to go back to that, just do not read the book. Pretend this isn't happening.
Alex, how did so many, whoever's hiring at colleges, it was just sort of a mass hysteria to all be on the same page for who gets tenure and what dogma and orthodoxy makes you attractive to college? Because it's everywhere. I don't understand how it happened, and I don't think we ever get it back.
Well,
you don't understand how what happened. What question is that? Can anybody figure out what question he's asking? Sorry, I don't know if we're losing connection. I'm seeing myself a little choppy there, so apologize in advance if we're losing connection. What is he talking about? I think, like, they're dancing around it. What they're talking about is, like, trans people. That's what they're talking about. They're talking about the idea of trans people, and they may also be talking about people who think that that we shouldn't worship capitalism, that capitalism doesn't like solve all their problems. How do we get it back? How do we convince people? I've got an idea. You want to sell people on capitalism? Hear me out, guys. I know we've got some socialists here. I know we've got some communists here. I know we've got some capitalists here. We've got some mixed economy folks like myself. But let's just say I was in charge of marketing for capitalism. What the fuck did you just write? Let's say I'm trying to market capitalism. What I would do if I were in charge is I would make capitalism not give all the money to fucking psychos. And instead, I would design capitalism in a way that everybody had access to capital, and that access to capital wasn't determined by your current net worth. That if you were a poor person, you had access to capital and you had access to upward mobility. If I was trying to sell a product that I wanted everybody to agree with, I would make it so that that product worked for everybody. And what you have here is a billionaire sitting there with 3 likely multimillionaires saying, I don't understand why these poor people won't just get on board with this. And how come these college students who have to take out hundreds of thousands of dollars sometimes in student loan debt, how come they don't think this is a good system? I don't get it. How did we lose these people? Well, you lost them because you gave money to this loser, and then you bring him on here like he's got all the ideas, and his answer is, hey, if you don't like what I have to say, sorry, we're taking over. That's the way it's going to go. That's the problem here. And not one of these people is like, I wonder why people aren't sold on American capitalism right now.
I understand how it happens.
Let's read some of these. This adds up since carps are bottom feeders. Fact, Johnny, long trail, fisherman, carps long. Let me also say this. If you fish and you take pictures of your fish, I understand some people don't like that. If you fish and you take pictures with a carp, you don't deserve respect as a person who fishes or as a human. Don't hold up a carp as a trophy. Never. Dreamliner says, I think we found Trump's professor of the weave. Jumar said, so black penis wouldn't win that cup? No, I don't. What's that mean?
Just like this country is fundamentally Calvinist. So that's one of the great strengths of this country. And what Calvinism basically
all right, keep going.
says, as opposed to like Lutheranism and other, is if you've done something big and important, you're probably a good person. And what you had at universities was an inversion and rejection of that. And so all the intellectual movements.
Calvinism is predestination. What? The difference between being a Lutheran and being a Calvinist is Calvinists believe in predestination. I don't know what he's talking about there. What did he say Calvinism was right there?
Says, as opposed to like Lutheranism and other, is if you've done something big and important, you're probably a good person. And
no, it says if you do something big and important, then you were predestined. You were preordained. Now, this is a slip because this is all of these people are into eugenics, every one of them. They think that who they are, and Tex probably loves Alex Karp because Tex loves eugenics too. But they believe that their genetics determine how great they're going to be. And he's dancing around this right here. I don't know why. If I was him, I wouldn't bring up Calvinism unless this was like a little shout out to like my white nationalist buddies. But Calvinism is about predestination, and that everything you do that is great is because God foreordained you to do that great thing. It has nothing to do with being a great person. In fact, even in the Bible, they would say like God often shows people who weren't good people. David, for example, who wanted to fuck his friend's wife, but his friend was like, "No, you can't do that." He was like, "All right, I got an idea. You're on the front lines of the battle tomorrow. You're on the front lines." And then he died, and then David got his wife. Right? Those would be examples. But Calvinism would say, well, he was preordained to do this. So even though he's not a good person, he was preordained because of God chose him. That's what Calvinism is.
What you had at universities was an inversion and rejection of that. And so all the intellectual movements are downstream from that. And so
So the inversion of that, right, would be you got to where you are because of meritocracy. These are the meritocracy people. They're saying that that universities are teaching you that no matter where you come from, no matter who you are, you can succeed if you have the best ideas. And he's like, no, it's all about predestination. The self-reporting here is wild. RJ is better than RTP. That's probably true. You've done more with my potato than anybody. You've done more with my potato than I did. That's true.
And that inversion is very, very charismatic. If you want to assume that you are right because you're wrong, basically. And it's a very, very charismatic movement. But I think the area where we bear responsibility, who disagree with it, is we have to stand up and say, but this doesn't work. We have to, one of the things in the book.
Yeah, we are. We are. We're saying that your access to money, your level of wealth should not determine whether or not you should be listened to. And you're saying, no, we have wealth because eugenics.
Unusual, as I'm quoting, like, judge them by the fruits they bear.
Okay.
Like, you're in favor of this world order. What have you built that works? What, show me.
Democracy, you dumb bitch. What have you built that works? Oh, I have a spying software. It spies on Americans. It's been used to, shout out to Palantir. Their technology was used to help hunt down Osama bin Laden, I guess, if you're a fan of that. I spy on people. What have these other people done? Democracy. They took this experiment called America. That's what we did.
Any institution that you've created, any institution, and I want to see that institution where the inputs are less than the outputs. So okay, and I don't care what it is. It could be an intellectual project. It can be a road. It can be a skyscraper. It can be a weapon system. And what you will find is they'll literally say, I reject that frame. And that's okay. But
I didn't reject it. Do you see the straw man he has? Like, he just creates this version of the left. And this is why it's so easy to trick Republicans. Most of them don't have a fucking clue what he's talking about, but they do understand when he frames us as people who just like, oh, we don't believe in output. We don't believe in that somebody can be successful. We don't believe in any of that. No, we just think that it's not all about money. What he's talking about right now is he's like, well, if you were better than me, wouldn't you have more money than me? No. You know who doesn't have money? The greatest school teacher ever to live. The greatest elementary school teacher ever to live, not rich. And what are the outputs? How do you measure the outputs? You go study their students and see how their students did? Well, then what? What are you measuring? Are you measuring how much money they made? Are you measuring their happiness? Are you measuring their ability to go to like say it was a 5th grade teacher? Are you measuring their preparedness to go to 6th grade? Did you measure it that way? They measure everything in terms of money. Money equals power. Power equals strength. Strength equals smarts. It's so backwards.
Our responsibility to hold them to account. You rejected the frame of something that could work. I'm not saying that everything I'm saying is right.
Yeah.
I don't know that. But I am certain that what you're saying does not work, and you will be left behind in history.
I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, but bad. Like, these guys, we gotta take a good look in the mirror and say, how the fuck are we losing to these morons? How did we lose to these morons? And maybe we aren't, but like, we got to stop fearing them for their money. That's for damn sure. I would like to see Alex Karp, any one of these people, be challenged to a debate and sit down and have a debate with like a 2nd-year political science major. And that 2nd-year political science major would wipe the floor with Alex Karp, because that was a 6-minute interview and nobody interjected and he didn't say anything. They don't know what they're doing. They're so masturbatory that they just like, oh, look how great I am, I have money, and then they don't say anything. There was nothing that was said there. The greatest minds in America are not leading this country. That's for damn sure. They're not offering anything different. They're just saying, let's privatize the government, which is what Republicans have been trying to do forever. And for the Republicans in here who are like, I want a smaller government, let's privatize things. Let's talk about it. Let's say you want to take your child to the park. You get to the park, it's $3 to enter the park because, capitalism. You want to do that? And then what happens when like the person who owns the park decides, I'm going to sell this park? Well, now the next person buys the park, and they buy that park at an inflated value, and now they have to get a return on their investment. So because it's an inflated value, that changes the amount they have to charge. So now the next person who buys the park is going to charge you $5 to go to the park. And you're like, man, parks should be free. Yeah, they should, right? How many of you, raise your hand, Republicans, if you love toll roads? You love toll roads? That's what that's called. Yeah, that's what you'd have to look forward to. Driving down the road. Let's say you're trying to get home. You're getting home from work, and you just spent your last $8 putting gas in your tank, and now you're driving home from work, and you're on this privatized road, and you get to a checkpoint and you don't have money. Now what? Now what? Right? Because that's a private road. They don't have to let you drive down that road. So you just leave your car there and you walk home? Okay, cool. But now you've left your car on their private road, and now they're going to impound your car, and they're going to put it in a lot, and now you've got to not only pay the fare, you've got to come in to pay to get your car back, and those fees are going to be as excessive as you want. Is it really the world you want to live in? You really want to live in the world where everything is privatized? I don't know. Republicans have been lying to you forever about how the government is fucking you. The government isn't fucking you. The government is keeping you from having to pay for every step that you take, for every single thing that you do. And these billionaires are saying, we want to get in the way of people doing what they want to do, and we want to be able to take a small amount of money from them every time they do it. Every single time they do it. That's why Elon Musk, he's trying to take over the FAA. He wants to get money. He wants the government to pay him to do things that the government is already doing. And by the way, he'll get to pay his employees less. And there won't be a government pension. And there won't be health care benefits. And there won't be a retirement. There'll just be Elon Musk sucking the money out of the government. These are fucking leeches. This is a leech. There's never been somebody more desperate to steal the government's money, to steal taxpayers' money than Elon Musk and Donald Trump. And Republicans are sitting by celebrating it like it's some great thing. Jen, floor is yours. I'll do some math if you're here. You here, Jen? All right. I think, by the way, I think the winner is definitely Nunya. So Nunya, make sure you get your, I just need your shipping address. Get that to Jen, and I'll send you out that mug.
Were you saying something to me? Sorry.
Yeah, I was saying, go ahead. I'll do math if you want to do your announcements.
Oh, okay. Text this is your one warning for the day. Knock it off, or you're just going to be timed up.
What's he doing?
Quit it.
Wait, I might have missed some jokes too. I might have called it too early for Nunya. What's Text doing? What's he doing?
I posted some of it in our chat.
Oh, you did?
There's more. There's more.
Oh, okay.
But,
Thank you.
I gave him a 5-minute timeout to let him know where he's.
Thank you, Brianna. Appreciate the donation. Let me read a couple of these real quick, and then I'll do the math. Sorry, I was a little early. Patrick says Alex Karp looks like a grand wizard in the Harry Potter universe. That's well done. Well done. I might have forgotten what the Grand Wizard was yesterday if you weren't here yesterday. I was like, is that from Harry Potter? Kraken says Alex Karp looks like he glued his pubes to the top of his head so he could play Doc Brown in Back to the Future. That's pretty good. Lisa says, I want a George Costanza pose for the calendar. Yeah, not likely on that one. We'll see. Rebecca says, Dollar Train. Thank you, Becca, for joining the Dollar Train. Pink says, give to my favorite stream. Give, oh, give, give, oh, give, give to my favorite stream as they hurry down the trail. Do you guys know that? Do you know that song, Jen?
Is it a Mormon song?
I don't know if that's what I was trying to figure out. If it was a Mormon song, it was called "Give," said the little stream, but I don't know if it was like a Mormon song or not.
It sounds kind of Mormon-esque.
It does.
But no, I'm not familiar.
Gail says Alex Karp's hair looks like it ran through Palantir's AI. It got classified as high risk but ungovernable. Thanks, Jen, for joining the Dollar Train. Appreciate that. Let me check out Cash App real quick. Okay. I still think Nunya won, but those were good. All right. All you, Jen.
So we're on our way to the 500 subs. So if you haven't subscribed to us on Twitch and YouTube, please do so. You can use your Amazon Prime sub on Twitch, or we've got 4 different options on YouTube. Any subscription level goes towards the goal. So we are about 160-ish away from the 500. There's a gift goal in the top left-hand corner. That's, you're doing the math right now.
Yes.
Okay, so once he updates that number in the top left-hand corner, we've got till about 1 o'clock Pacific time to hit that number. We do this every day. It's our job. So if you guys could please Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, Super Chats, any of that kind of stuff, let's get that so we can wrap that up by 1 o'clock. It's about 2 hours, 15 minutes left. Did you miss one of Breeze? I think
I'm looking at it. I was waiting until you're done. It just came in right when I was reading the other ones. It's a super chat. I'll get it to when you're done.
So then any mod, if you guys want to invite to our Discord, any mod can send you an invite to the Discord in either chat. So if you want to reach out to any of the mods, they can do that for you.
W
Or if
Push
you wanna
Pop
be-
for gifting 10 subs. Sorry to cut you off there. Thank you.
W Push Pop. And so my Discord is Jen, JENN, Dub, DUBB, #1. And I can get you an invite over there. And I have this one screen that it glitched, it seems like it turns off for like a half a second. It's a pain in the ass. So
And
I think that's
Gibson Girl, thank you for the gifted subs over on Twitch. Appreciate it.
W Gibson Girl. So yeah, bud.
Bree's joke was shocked that you're not a fan of Alex Karp. After all, he has a rug/carpet company called Carpetry. I do like that. All right, you're right. I'm a fan of him now.
So a man assaulted me with milk, butter, and cheese.
Oh, damn. Sorry about that.
How dare he?
How dare he? That's beautiful. That is beautiful. I don't know what that sound is for, but thank you for whoever's making those sounds happen. Thank you for that. All right, back to the outline. Boy, I'm glad Alex Karp did that. I'm glad he did that interview. Let me look at the messages from text. What did you say? Oh, he's Alex Karp is Jewish, not white. Nice try. Yeah. Nobody said white nationalist. We said eugenics, bud. Talking about eugenics. But also, you can be Jewish and white. You can be white presenting. You can be. It's not surprising that your understanding of how this shit works is based on a technical version. If you're white presenting, like, you get the privileges of being white, right? If people think you're white and they treat you like you're white, then that's white privilege, even if you yourself don't identify as white. Like, that's just kind of how this stuff works. It's how other people treat you. It's how a society reacts to your presence. That's how that stuff works. Tex. I'll explain it to you some other time. Excuse me. All right, let's talk about free speech. There was this thread. I don't remember who put this in the Discord. I apologize. I think it was somebody in the research channel. But thanks for the sub. Thanks for the sub. This is Pekka Kallioniemi. I nailed that. I know it. He said, in today's Vatnik Soup, I'll introduce how Elon's election interference machine works. Since Musk and his broligarch allies won the presidency for Trump, they've now harnessed the machine to interfere in European elections, including the ones in Germany and Romania. At this point, it's pretty clear why Elon bought Twitter. His grand plan was to promote free speech absolutism, which of course doesn't even exist on the platform, and tweak the algorithms so that they allow him to promote political parties that align with his worldview. Here is an article from Trevor Tim saying the world needs people willing to stand up for freedom of expression, which makes Musk's trajectory all the sadder. Thank you for all the subs. Appreciate you guys. First, let's talk about the freedom of speech that the Trump administration, especially Musk and VP Vance, constantly rant about. Incidentally, they only blame the EU for limiting speech, and there's a good reason for this. They are driving for political change. JD Vance here, we covered this speech the other day. He met with German, let's stop calling them far-right leaders, and let's just call them what they are, neo-Nazis. And he criticizes the firewalls for speech in Germany. By the way, it is illegal in Germany. Like, speech is far more quelled in Germany, and that's because the German citizens said, "Hey, maybe if there was if Hitler wasn't allowed to just say the shit he was, maybe we could have stopped some of this. You know, maybe we shouldn't let ideas that proliferate into mass genocides. Maybe we quell some of that speech. Maybe we try and shut it down before it's a genocide." And JD Vance is over there like, hey, you can't stop anything until there's a genocide happening, which is crazy. that our vice president is telling other countries how they have to run. Ironically, at the same time that they're getting upset that the United States is influencing other countries through USAID in promoting more inclusive culture, right? That's a problem. If you go to other countries and you promote more inclusive culture, that's a problem. But if you go to other countries and you threaten them to force Elon Musk to be allowed to do whatever he wants to do, that's in the name of free speech. Got it. Have you noticed how when Vance and Musk talk about freedom of speech, they only refer to social media? It's because when you look at other media, they're actually much worse than the EU. Musk and Trump have sued people and companies for tens of thousands of dollars regarding speech. This is the Freedom Index. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it. It takes in account not just free speech, but like your actual freedoms. Your ability to make your own decisions, your ability to be educated, your ability to have a good paying job, things that actually constitute freedom. And if you look at this list, you search for the United States, not in the first column. Okay. Not in the second. Oh, down here at 55. United States is out preaching freedom to 54 countries that are more free than them. And if you look at the countries that actually provide the most freedom, you're talking about Norway, Denmark, Sweden, Netherlands, Finland, Estonia, Portugal, Ireland, places that Republicans would say, those are socialist hellholes. Yeah, because socialism actually gives you more freedom. Democratic socialism is a far better system than the democracy we have with an economy led by capitalists. You're not as free here. It's incredibly difficult for people to get rich here. Now, those that do get rich get massively rich, but it's pretty difficult for people here to have like free movement. It's hard for people here to choose an occupation that they enjoy, that they feel like adds value to their life, and then get paid. Like if you want to be a school teacher here, you better have a spouse or somebody that's making good money, or you better have roommates. But if you want to be a school teacher and then raise a family and have like a stay-at-home parent, good luck with that. Not in America, but in these other countries, it's doable. You can do kind of whatever job you want that provides value, and it's doable. And yeah, that means that sometimes their governments are bigger because their governments are paying school teachers. Their governments are paying educators. Their governments are paying more money to the people who maybe come around and collect your trash and your recycling. Maybe the people that build the roads. They're given more freedom. They have guaranteed time off, no matter what job you have. A lot of these countries have 6 weeks guaranteed paid time off every single year. So yeah, do people pay more in taxes? Sure, but they get 6 weeks off every year. No matter what, when you have a child, you get maternity leave and you get paternity leave. So both parents can sit there and raise their child how they want to. Wouldn't that increase our birth rates? Wouldn't that make people more likely to have children? Instead, we got Elon Musk out here like, hey, we need to have more children. And people are like, hey, I can't afford to have children. He's like, great news. You can have sex with me, bear my child, and I'll pay you $20,000 a month to bear my child. And then he's like, why is nobody having children? Well, because we can't do that. If I want 13 children, I can't pay 13 different women $20,000 a month to raise a child. I don't have the means to do that because I'm not a lunatic fucking billionaire. But we are not a country that ranks high when it comes to freedom. Look at the map here on the Freedom Index. Like, look where the blue is. All the countries that Republicans hate. Oh my God, do they hate them? Canada, Greenland. You got Australia down here. You got New Zealand. You got South Africa down here. You got basically. I'm not pointing to these other ones because I, admittedly, as a white American, am far more familiar with the countries in Europe and where they are than Africa and the Middle East. And I recognize that that is a product of my upbringing and I should be better, but I'm not. So I'm just admitting it. But yeah, look at the places that are the most free, the most blue, where the people are the happiest. It's not the ones that are run like look, Russia, not great. Things aren't going great over there in Russia. Look at Mexico's getting better. Mexico's coming out of it. I love Mexico. I would move to Mexico tomorrow if I did not have a child and her mother that lived here. I would move to Mexico tomorrow. It's a better place to live. Flat out a better place to live. I was in Mexico a while ago. I rode like 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm riding a bicycle through the streets of Mexico. Never felt more safe. Never felt more safe where I was. At least in my neighborhood, I might get attacked by a pig. You know, I heard gunshots 2 nights ago, which was crazy in my neighborhood. I would move to Mexico tomorrow. I would move to most of these countries tomorrow if I didn't have a child. Just straight up, they're better places to live. There's not really an argument for that. The only argument for living in America is like, if there's a war, America's going to win. Yeah, probably. But what if we just didn't do war? What if we didn't have to say like the only real benefit to living in America was that like we have the greatest military? What if we used our considerable resources and influence and military to promote peace, actual peace all over the world? We could do that, but that would kill the military-industrial complex. I don't hear a lot of Republicans complaining that Elon Musk is getting government handouts all the time and paying his people shit wages. I don't hear that complaint very often. From that same hearing we watched earlier, this is Eric Swalwell. He's questioning Matt Taibbi. He's also monologuing a bit, but I thought this was really great stuff from Eric Swalwell, just like pointing out the inconsistencies and the hypocrisy from these free speech warriors on the right, and they're not fighting for free speech, not even remotely.
Well, Mr. Chairman, on behalf of Senator Kaine and I, one area we'd probably all agree we need more 155 millimeter shells. We make them almost exclusively in all of North America in Radford in a World War II facility, and would welcome any members of the committee that would ever like to come down.
It's the wrong clip. Sorry. Do I have this one? Needs to go somewhere else. Let me see if I put it in the same one. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. I got the wrong clip. I don't have the Swalwell one anymore. I fucked that up. We're not going to hear from Eric Swalwell. Actually, I bet I can find it. Let's go to YouTube. There we go.
That censorship is the suppression of ideas, words, images, and something that can be conducted by the government.
Yeah, it can also not be by the government, but yes.
And you would then agree that it's censorship for any government, democratic or authoritarian, run by a Democrat or a Republican, to
thanks, Sully, for the super chat. Appreciate it.
Bar the press from covering the government when the press reports something the government doesn't like.
Bar in what way?
Take away their credentials? Take away their access?
So as a long time, I started my career as an independent journalist. Journalists who whine about not being credentialed should recognize that being on the outside is part of what being in the press is. I'm not terribly sympathetic to people who complain about that issue.
So if you report something that a government doesn't like and they take away access that others have, that's not censorship?
You can still cover it. That's not censorship.
Okay. And banning books, is that censorship?
Banning books is censorship. Yep.
So this topic is more complicated than the hearing title would suggest. And I would argue the difference between a democratic approach and democratic activists on this issue and Republicans is that as Democrats seek to attack mis- and disinformation, it's because their perception of information is that it is a means to the truth. And for many Republicans, they believe that information is a means to power. And so they are primarily concerned with using information, whether it's disinformation or misinformation, as long as it gets them to power, they're okay with it. And it's difficult to try and litigate what do you do with mis- and disinformation. And I will be honest with you. Sometimes Democratic voices object too much to mis- and disinformation. A lawyer once told me when I was a young prosecutor that I was jumping out of my seat too much, objecting to conduct by the defense attorney, and while I was probably legally right, it was just annoying the jury, and that I should pick my battles. So I get frustrated too sometimes when it feels like the penalty.
I think that's a fair point. Like, I do think that during COVID, perhaps some of that stuff was over-censored, but it was not in a way that really affected anybody, right? Sure, we can say that. Like, maybe we were a little too sensitive to that, but people were dying. You know, like, oftentimes people are dying, people are afraid. Like, you're more likely when people are in a state of fear to censor speech, which is exactly why Republicans right now don't care that speech is being censored because they've been whipped up into a state of fear. They've been fed a truckload of fucking lies for the last 4 years, telling them that we were under attack, that we were under an invasion, that we were trying to do socialism, we were trying to take away their guns, that we were trying to destroy democracy, and now they're cool censoring speech. And I admit that on our side we can go too far as well. I think Swalwell is right about that. What's frustrating is that when it is this transparent, I thought it was interesting that Taibbi didn't think that pulling the credentials of a White House reporter was suppressing speech. He ignored the fact that the reason their credentials were pulled is because they refused to be compelled to speak a certain way. So he's like, I don't have sympathy for people who whine. Okay, fine. We didn't ask if you had sympathy. We want to know if compelling speech from an outlet like the AP is and if they don't speak the way you want them to speak, you pulling their credentials, is that an attack on free speech? Of fucking course it is. Everybody knows that's an attack. Everybody agrees with that.
Penalty flag is being thrown too often. However, there is a difference, though, between censoring somebody because you disagree with them. I'll credit Chairman Jordan. He and I have had some spirited debates in this hearing room. Sometimes they've gotten quite personal by both of us. And sometimes when I land a point, he gets upset. His staff gets upset. But he takes it like a man. And he'll make his point right back at me. And I take it like a man. You know who doesn't take it like a man? Donald Trump. Because he's not a man.
Good use of that imagery, though. That imagery works on Republicans. It's silly, but it's good use.
He's a child. He's a small child. And he views censorship as a mean to get rid of people who disagree with him. He wants to get rid of judges who disagree with him. He said that as recently as yesterday. Speaker Johnson is backing him up by suggesting that judges should just pause in interpreting his violations of the Constitution.
That's such a baby back bitch move by Johnson. I think the courts should just ignore what they're supposed to do and just see how this plays out. I think everybody should just, that's really the Republican talking point now, right? That's what all of them are saying. I think everybody should just get out of the way and see what Elon Musk comes up with. Let's see if he fucks it up or not. I don't trust him. I don't trust anybody. It wouldn't matter if it would whoever you guys trust. I'm trying to think who I trust a lot. Look, I trust Jen. I have a great deal of trust for Jen. If Jen was running the government and just doing whatever the fuck she wanted without government oversight, I'd be like, hey, maybe we don't let Jen do that, because as much as I love and trust Jen, one thing that she hasn't done is run an entire government by herself. And she is not a forensic accountant. And I would prefer maybe a team of forensic accountants doing a very public audit that we could track. I don't want to have to take the word for a guy who claims he's doing an audit, has shown us no proof that he's doing an audit, but not Mike Johnson, because Mike Johnson is a sniveling little bitch. And he's just like, maybe the courts should just give it a try. Can we do that, guys? If I don't agree with Donald, then Donald's going to be mad at me. So maybe the courts could just step aside for a minute, please.
Trump goes after his perceived political opponents. I know. When I was a part of the Russia investigation, his DOJ subpoenaed my emails and my cell phone records. He's a petty, punitive child. And I can recognize a toddler because I'm a parent of 3 of them.
Yeah.
And I recognize the same behavior. And yes, censorship is occurring, but it's self-censorship.
I also can recognize that because, like Swalwell, I have a child, and my child is a daughter, and I am as much as I just called Mike Johnson like a spineless little bitch. That's me with my daughter too. I am a spineless little bitch when it comes to my daughter. I allow the worst reasoning ever to do things. I'll give you an example. The other day she was sitting on the stairs, and she told me to do something. She's like, "Get me a snack plate." And I was like, "Hey, how about you ask in a nicer way?" And she goes, "But but I'm tired. I'm so tired. I said, you're too tired to ask in a nice way? And she said, yeah. And I was like, all right. And then I just went and got the snack plate. Like I just caved. But that's Mike Johnson is me. You should not be the Speaker of the House if you are going to run the House like I run my house with my daughter. I get walked all over, and hopefully she turns out good because she just runs shit. So I understand what it's like to capitulate to a toddler. I in a way I feel for Mike Johnson. I know what it's like to get run over by a toddler, and it's because like it's impossible to argue with a toddler, and it's hard to argue with Donald Trump too because they're just like, but I don't wanna. You're like, fuck. All right, well, you have to. Why? I don't know. Because I want you to. Well, I don't want to. All right. And then you're like, do I want to have this fight with a toddler? I'm gonna lose. Like if I try and fight with her, she's gonna cry. She's gonna throw a fit. So it's like, yeah, you got to pick your battles. But with a toddler, and it's good now she's 5. Like she's, I can have conversations with her. Sometimes she's irrational. But when she was 2, she's just like, I was just gonna lose every time. This is what happens. You just lose. You get walked all over, and you feel like shit. You're like, God damn, I'm getting absolutely bullied by a 2-year-old, and there's not a goddamn thing I can do about it. But that's what Mike Johnson's dealing with right now. He's being bullied by a 2-year-old, and ironically, they both have stinky diapers from time to time. Both my 2-year-old toddler when she was 2, and Donald Trump. I cleaned her diaper. I don't know if Mike Johnson's cleaning diapers.
And it's by you all. Because I hear you in our private conversations when you agree that Trump is a child. I hear the people you tell that Trump is a child, whether it's lobbyists or reporters. But you shrink in this room, and you shrink in the chamber, and you self-censor yourselves from speaking out.
That was an interesting tell. Like, I've heard all of you guys behind closed doors say that he's a toddler. You all know this. But you're all bitches. You're all bitches when it's in this room because all of you are afraid to cross Donald Trump. And I just got to say, like, to the Republicans, they're spineless. Your leaders are spineless, and you want them spineless. This criticism doesn't even land for Republicans because if you're like, they'll only talk shit about Trump behind closed doors. They'll only talk about the things that bother them behind closed doors. And Republicans are like, good. Don't talk shit about him. How dare you? And that's why they can't say things publicly because they'll lose their job. And whoever you replace them with is just going to be somebody who bows down even more. The problem I have a little bit with the Democrat strategy and why like we've done such a bad job, force it. Start naming names, Eric Swalwell. They treat this like a brotherhood. They treat it the same way. Like it reminds me of the police. Like, yeah. Well, why didn't you tell anybody? Why didn't you report that this officer was targeting women as for traffic stops? Well, it's a brotherhood. We kind of take care of that shit in house. All these people in Congress are like, we take care of shit in house. Knock it off. Don't do it in house and record it. Walk around with a cell phone. Do whatever you have to do. Like bring these people forward. Why are we protecting the Republicans who behind closed doors talk shit about Trump and talk shit about Mike Johnson and talk shit about Elon Musk and say this is a problem and then in front of the microphones they don't? Bring it forward.
Because you're afraid. And he's laughing at you that you take him so seriously because he's unserious. He's laughing that you think he is so powerful because he's weak. He's laughing that you think he is so big because he's quite small.
That's what
so
I heard.
we need you. We need
Daniels
your
said.
voices right now. It can't just be this side. We're all in to speak up. And we need you to speak up too.
No, we're not. Don't lie to that, Eric Swalwell. Our side is not all in to speak up. Our side is not all in to fight. We're not. We're just not. I kind of like the approach that he took here in like giving Jim Jordan a compliment. I think that's important. I do think it's important to point out the things about Republicans where you can find common ground because that moves the conversation along. It's not, we don't care on our side. We're like, nah, don't say nice things. But like it does. You have to give these Republicans a landing spot. And I do think that that's a place that we struggle. Like you do have to give Republicans a place to land. You can't just say like you'll never be comfortable ever again. I know it feels good to say that, but it's counterproductive to getting things done. I appreciate what Swalwell's doing here. He's going after Trump instead of going after them, and he's showing them time and time again, like, you guys are such pussies. Like, why are you so afraid of him?
Otherwise, we are all out of freedom. And I yield back.
Gentlemen's time has expired. Gentlemen.
So lost without you. Yeah, I liked that by Eric Swalwell. I thought that was good. I sent this to 20 people this morning because I hate Dave Rubin so bad. I'm not even going to give a setup here. This is Dave Rubin on the Times Radio.
Those ideas of free speech that you're talking about, are they more important to the world than the idea of being free from Russian invasion, for example? Because, J.D. Vance seemed to be suggesting that they were. I wonder if you'd agree with that.
Okay, so J.D. Vance went to Ukraine, or went to the UN, NATO, and he was basically like, yeah, well, free speech is the problem here. Like, Ukrainian free speech is sometimes censored. Russian free speech is sometimes censored. And he's saying, like, what do you think's more important? That nobody invades your country, or that, like, free speech is totality? I don't remember how I was trying to do that sentence. Or like that free speech is totally free, like that there's no inhibitors to your free speech.
Yeah, I do agree with that. I think J.D. Vance's
God damn, look at him sweating. I didn't notice that. Rubin is sweaty.
They're more important than being able to protect yourself from an actual invasion.
Yes, because if you do not have free speech, in essence, you are invading yourself. If you cannot debate ideas, if you cannot say what you think as a free person in a free...
It is far more important. If you don't have free speech, it's like invading yourself. What does that mean? I have no clue what that means. Of course it's more important that you don't let other countries invade you. Of course that's worse. Of course, like, do you think the people in Ukraine are like, yeah, I'm tired of these fucking missiles, but maybe I'll take these missiles over total free speech. I don't like some of I don't even know what restrictions you have on speech in Ukraine. I'm not familiar. But do you think any of the Ukrainians are like, God damn it, I wish I could call somebody a slur? I'll trade being able to drop slurs for these bombs. Keep the bombs coming. Keep them coming. As long as I can say slurs, keep them coming.
Your society will crumble under its own weight. So that is not to say that there are not bad state actors in the world. That is not to say that Putin is a great guy, or that from an American perspective, we're going to have major issues with China over the years. But free speech is the most fundamental human right, which is why it's our First Amendment in the Bill of Rights. And I think without that, we won't be able to debate anything else. We won't be able to debate whether we should take military action against Russia or literally anything else. So I'm always worried more so about the threats from within than the external threats, and I think that's what JD was referring to.
Yeah. I don't know who the voice of the Times is, but I'm going to guess some sort of Christian. Let's figure out who the Times Radio is. I bet it's some sort of Christian broadcast. Times Radio. Let's see. No, British radio station owned by News UK. Oh, yep, part of the Murdoch media empire. Okay, that's it. Okay, I was right about that. Focus of the station, measured, well-informed, and non-adversarial. All right. It's hard to tell the difference between Fox News and just a Christian group. It's difficult. Stephanie, thanks for the super chat. He invades himself daily. That's right. And listen, we are pro invading yourself daily. I hope that when you guys are having a hard day, you don't rule out invading yourself. Let me check messages over on the payment apps. Just a reminder, below the screen there are the links for the payment apps. We got Venmo, Cash App, and PayPal, and we do rely on your generosity to keep things going. So thank you very much for those who have donated. We're at 193 left in our gift goal today, and I just know that we'll hit it so that Jen doesn't hit me. All right. This is interesting. I didn't know this website existed till today. There's this website called Musk Watch. How do I have notifications? What is this? Maybe I did I subscribe? Meta is removing Facebook ad criticizing Elon Musk in a total free speech move by free speech absolutist Mark Zuckerberg, who said it's time to go in a new direction. We're no longer censoring speech unless it talks about Elon. Meta removed an advertisement earlier this month criticizing Musk's use of the Department of Government Efficiency to seize Americans' private information. Here is the ad. A single individual now controls sensitive U.S. data, risking our national security. Urge Congress to enforce strict oversight. And then you can see here, ad was removed. This ad was removed by Meta. Feeling pretty free speechy? Does it feel free speechy to you? On Meta's ad library, the corporation claimed the Echo ad violated its rules on unacceptable business practices. It's unclear how the ad violated those practices, which prohibit advertisers from misleading people into purchasing or sharing sensitive information, exaggerating health-related benefits, and touting deceptive financial benefits. I don't know how that's misleading, but I do know that ad there was removed. Another section in Meta's unacceptable business practices states that advertisers cannot use the image of a famous person and misleading tactics in order to bait people into engaging with an ad. The Echo ad does include a photo of Musk wearing a MAGA hat, but it does not feature his likeness in a manner designed to be misleading, as would be the case if an advertiser made a use of a celebrity photo without their consent to sell a product. So if Elon Musk was here maybe holding a container of Jergens and saying, Jergens, so you can beat off to this billionaire by yourself. That would be, yeah, he didn't say that he was selling Jergens. He looks like shit, by the way. Meta also took down...
Thanks for the sub.
Thank you for the sub, Nancy. 2 other anti-Musk ads purchased by Echo, one from last month and one from last week, so that's 3 now. In response to an inquiry from MuskWatch, Meta said that the ads were removed in error and now have been restored. Oh, imagine that. Imagine that. Where's the content moderation team? In Austin, Texas now? And they moved their content moderation team to Texas. They took down that ad, and now they're like, fuck. All right, we'll restore it. Ads that were supportive of Musk and Trump were not impacted by similar errors. The Trump Collection, a site that sells officially licensed Trump-related merchandise, is currently running a Facebook ad that features a video of Musk wearing his trademark dark MAGA cap inside the Oval Office. There are also ads on Facebook promoting petitions that support Musk's work at DOGE. Sign our petition now to back Trump's new Elon Musk-led effort to dismantle the deep state, cut waste, and end far-left funding, reads a Facebook ad placed by the American Center for Law and Justice. The organization has spent $175,000 running ads on Facebook. No problem there. No, it's not Elon that's running them, right? But they're using Elon for ads. Washington Post, owned by Amazon founder Jeff Bezos and new Trump dick sucker, also canceled at least one anti-Musk ad. The progressive advocacy group Common Cause, in collaboration with the Southern Poverty Law Center's lobbying arm, said the Post had agreed to run a Fire Elon Musk across the front of its Tuesday print edition. But the Post canceled the $115,000 ad, which featured the question, who's running this country, Donald Trump or Elon Musk? Spokesperson for Common Cause told The Hill that the Post would not explain why it chose not to run the ad. A spokesperson for the Post referred MustWatch to the newspaper General Guidelines for Advertising, adding, "We do not comment on internal decisions related to specific advertising campaigns." Yeah, fuck off is what they told him. Censorship. We can't even talk bad about Elon Musk now? That's censorship? That's censorship. We can't say bad things about Elon Musk? That's a free speech party, though, right? I did Jesse Waters. I did Harriet Hagman. Jen, are you here? Can you do your announcements real quick? My lips are dry as shit. I need to find some chapstick. Are you here? My lips are dry as shit. I need to find.
Yeah, I'm here.
There's an echo. All right, I'll be right back.
Yeah, there's a whole thing. So if you guys don't know, I have it on one computer, so I have to mute one chat so I can hear him talking, because I can't hear videos when I'm on this VC, so it's I have to back and forth, sorry. Interesting. Anyways, I guess 193 is the current gift goal number. We need to get to 0. So Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, Super Chats, All of that goes towards knocking out the vehicle. We wrap up at 1 o'clock Pacific time, so hour 45 minutes or so left. You can do that. Please subscribe to Twitch and to YouTube if you haven't already done so. And what did you have to do?
Chapstick, but I was laughing because somebody said I would to invade myself. My lips were just very dry, and I left my chapstick sitting on a desk across the room, so I thought it would be good.
Okay, so that was a quick invasion. I mean,
That's all it takes.
Nobody
invades as quickly as I do. That's for sure.
Right.
Ask the rug. You know.
It's very colonizer of you. That tracks. So.
Thank you. Amanda. Oh, sorry. Amanda says, always love the show. And so Jen doesn't hit you. Thanks, Amanda.
Amanda doesn't want me to have any fun. That's not nice.
That's true.
Amanda's the fun place.
All right. Did you get them all? You get all your announcements in? Sorry, I didn't.
I think so. Why are friends a lot like snow?
Why are friends a lot like snow?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
If you pee on them, they disappear.
Not all friends. Not the good ones. The good snow and the good friends stick around for that.
I mean, I guess if that's your thing. I don't. Maybe I won't kink shame that one.
That's right. Yeah. How dare you, Jen? How dare you?
Sorry.
Thanks, Jen. Who's getting peed on? Not Trump, he says. He's a germaphobe. He doesn't get peed on. Let's talk about some of the funding freezes. This is Mark Warner. This is the video I showed before.
Warner.
But this was during the Senate Budget Committee, and they were going over the new budget. And girls, go ahead, go. This is So this is Mark Warner saying that we need to safeguard national security information from Elon Musk as they discussed the budget reconciliation.
Well, Mr. Chairman, on behalf of Senator Kaine and I, one area we'd probably all agree we need more 155 millimeter shells. We make them almost exclusively in all of North America in Radford in a World War II facility, and would welcome any members of the committee that would ever like to come down. And
I actually would like to do that.
it's pretty wild. It's pretty, you can't believe how old and dystopian it looks. Okay, so I'm going to thank you, Mr. Chairman. I call it my first degree amendment, Warner Amendment 7, as modified by my second degree amendment, Warner 15, which establishes a deficit neutral reserve fund to protect sensitive and classified information from DOGE. This ought to be, I think.
Hold on. Tex, did you tell me not to talk shit about Elon Musk while I was on his platform? Get fucked. Don't talk bad about my king on his own platform. How dare you? Elon, if you're listening, go fuck yourself. How about that? Elon could lick my entire ass. I do not care. I hope he kicks me off. Honestly, I hope he does, because that's going to be good for me.
An easy one. I can tell you as chairman and vice chairman of the Intel Committee, the federal government's got to do all we can to safeguard national security information, obviously at the same time protect privacy. During the past few weeks, President Trump and his cabinet have given the DOGE operatives access to some of our nation's most sensitive information, including the ability to read and perhaps manipulate data on the 1.3 billion payments that Treasury makes each year. This includes one DOGE
Sorry, I see what you're saying, Tex, but now you know, but you know that he censored it, right? Like, despite the fact that I'll have more concurrent viewers, and it's not a lot, I'll have more concurrent viewers than most right-wingers that host lives, mine will be throttled. Or at least it used to be. We'll see what it does now. But he used to throttle all the traffic. You can't say that Elon Musk is a free speech advocate anymore. You just can't. But we were talking about Meta, and they were censoring stuff for Elon.
Operative who formerly worked for a Russian hacker group and was fired for leaking sensitive secrets to a competitor. Another of the DOGE guys declared himself, quote, a racist, and said he would not mind if, quote, Gaza and Israel were both wiped off the face of the earth. Now, I don't think somebody that would give up information to a competitor or somebody that says Israel and Gaza ought to be wiped off the face of the earth, is that the kind of young person we want to be giving access to our banking information, our social security information? Now, I don't think the vast majority of us, I wouldn't trust these kids looking at my checkbook, let alone looking at the overall payment systems of the United States of America.
And let's just be reminded that like they have access because there's an executive order that the courts haven't struck down and Republicans don't care about, that basically Trump was like, hey, I get to give people access to whatever I want for 6 months and you guys can't do shit about it. And so we took this kid who is known, like literally just recently got fired for leaking information from his provider to somebody else, or his employer to somebody else. And we're like, yeah, no, he's trustworthy though. Let's give him access. But again, like, this is what I think maybe the most frustrating part about Republicans is that, like, no matter what happens, as long as Elon keeps telling you that he's doing an audit, you don't care what happens. You don't care who he brings on. You don't care if it jeopardizes our national security. You just want to win. You want to win so fucking bad that you're defending the worst among us, the absolute worst among us.
My fear is that this DOGE work is not going to stop with their legally dubious, and so far the courts have weighed in and said inappropriate. The truth is, Mr. Sherman, as you know, the president said last week it's time to send Musk to check out the Pentagon. Aside from the obvious conflict of interest, given the fact that Mr. Musk's SpaceX plays a major role in that defense environment, opening the Pentagon to DOGE presents a serious risk to the classified programs that keep our nation safe. My amendment provides a common sense solution that all members of the committee should support that allows for legislation that will protect classified and sensitive information on American programs from being accessed by DOGE who don't have the necessary training, experience, or in the case of some of these fellows mentioned, they didn't even have the clearances. You got somebody with a secret clearance looking at materials that are beyond TS, beyond SCI. Again, many of the colleagues on this committee know how important it is to keep our information secret and secure. I would urge you to back this amendment. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Crapo. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, I would like to
look, the opposition to that is crazy. The opposition to that is Trump has a mandate to bypass the Constitution. I guess, like, Republicans, be honest then. Like, is that, like, he has a mandate to bypass the Constitution? Is that what you guys gave him a mandate for? I mean, he didn't say that. He specifically said that he wouldn't do that. In fact, he said he would be a dictator just for one day. When does that day end? Johnny said the P is the glue that holds T and P together. I like that R. I think P and R together, I think is maybe what you meant. Cookie says, let's say it together. Fuck Tex, fuck Drew, and fuck the Nazis. Poor Drew. Drew always catches the strays from Tex. Here's an interesting story that came out. There are programs put in place called secondary transition. Secondary transition is the process of helping students with disabilities get ready for life after high school. This includes planning and preparing for employment, further education, living independently, and the plan is part of the student's individualized education program, the IEP. This is one of the examples of something that was defunded by Elon Musk, and it was defunded because it has this word in it. It's not a joke. They want to cut this because of that word. Here's the video explaining what it does.
Welcome to the Pennsylvania Secondary Transition Connecting for Employment Training Series. The goal of this series is to help educators and community agency personnel learn about each other's respective roles in secondary transition planning and how working together can lead to a lifelong success for students with disabilities. Secondary transition planning is a process that guides a youth from high school into adult living after they leave school. One key element in secondary transition is planning for a student's future career, which is what we will be focusing on in this series. Planning begins at age 14.
I know where they got that music. That's like straight up Canva music. Yeah. That's how bad these guys are. That's how shitty they are at their job. Like, they're using AI and they're just like, anything that says transition, we're going to cut. So now you have students with disabilities who they're given an education, but like transitioning into adulthood with a disability is incredibly difficult. And it takes funding, it takes education, it takes people there to help. And because it said transition, they're like, we got to get rid of that. Sorry, but that one day is turning into an entire government shift. Yeah, facts. Absolute facts there. Let me check. See, looks like some messages came through, maybe. Our friend from Iceland. Not sure if the other message made it. Well, if it did, a little extra. Let's see. So there must have been a message that came through before. Let me check that. Is that today? Yeah. When does a dad joke, or when does a joke become a dad joke? This one's been used, but it's one of my favorite. When it becomes apparent. That's beautiful. I love that so very much. Did I miss any other ones? I think so. Oh, yeah. Alexandria says to text, shut the fuck up. Jesus. You musk seed guzzling motherfucker. To Jay, I love you. Thank you, Alexandria. Sorry, Tex. Let's see. I'll do the math there on the next video. I wanted to just highlight something that Kyle Cheney, great follow on Twitter if you're still over there on Twitter. There was a letter from Mayor Adams' lawyers to the DOJ dated February 3rd, but it was filed yesterday in court or today in court. It's basically explaining that Mayor Adams being indicted. His lawyers say while the indictment does not automatically strip Mayor Adams of any powers, it has opened the door to his potential removal from office. At the local level, the charter establishes a committee on mayoral inability that consists of the speaker of the city council and other city officials, and committee can vote to remove Mayor Adams from office. So there's a movement, like they're saying that there's a movement from city council saying even the governor saying we can remove him. But in this letter from Mayor Adams' lawyer Alex Spiro, he said there is a reason that the Justice Department does not prosecute sitting presidents. And while a mayor is not a president, Mayor Adams is nonetheless the leader of this country's largest city and needs to be an important partner to the president and his administration. As an honest balancing of these concerns against the unsupported prosecution theories in this case mitigates strongly in favor of dismissal. They are literally saying, hey, he has a quid pro quo from the president. And even though he is not shielded in the same way that the president is, we should just shield him anyways because the president wants him to be shielded. His lawyers are just saying, like, yeah, don't hold him accountable. You got to drop these charges because he's doing what the president wants him to do. Other actions that have caused problems with the funding freezes here. Shit, that's the same one. No. Damn it. Shit, I don't have it. There was a I don't even remember where it is. There was a medevac that was denied. Basically, DOGE said, or through USAID, there was a person who was pregnant, needed to be medevaced to a different hospital to receive care. And they got a hold of USAID saying, hey, the mother might die, the baby might die. And USAID just simply responded, yeah, we don't cover that. It wasn't in their policies. They just said it. Eventually, the person was able to get care. But USAID, because it's run by DOGE, they're just like, nah, we don't do that. Just you can die. This right here, this is Holly. And the person that tweeted this is Truth Matters at Politics USA 46, and they've been sharing like daily stories. I believe this is the same Truth Matters from TikTok. I think you guys know Truth Matters, but they've been sharing videos every single day of real Americans, real voices who are being affected by the cuts at DOGE. This is Holly, and she's going to tell her story.
Elon and like DOGE or whatever fired 2,000 people from the National Institute of
I understand it's quiet, by the way. That's as loud as I can make it.
Health on Friday, and tomorrow we're going to find out who they're firing from the hospital. I'm currently at the NIH hospital receiving treatment, and it's just like what kind of person fires staff that's caring for cancer and transplant patients. I don't know, pretty sick and pretty cruel. You can cut the tension in here with a knife. These nurses are scared for their jobs and their families, and these nurses have become like family to me, and I'm worried about my treatment. Will I be able to finish my treatment? Just so many questions, and we have to stop pretending that this isn't happening, and we need to be more vocal, because this is just the first wave of their plan.
Even those that haven't had funding cut, like just sitting there worrying about, is my funding going to be cut? Is my funding not? A friend of mine called me this morning. She works at a public school here in Mesa, and this is her first year on the job as a school counselor. I'm not making sure I'm not muted there. And because of school choice and how it exploded our budget here in Arizona, she is now being cut. Like, now they are getting rid of school counselors in their school. I think the thing that's so gutting about what Elon is doing is that he's cutting funding for people who desperately need it in favor of cutting funding for people who don't desperately need it. They're always choosing capitalism over people, and being a Republican is essentially reducing people to a number, which is ironic given that they are like the party of Christians, right? Like, Tex here. Tex is a Christian. Tex is a proud Christian. And yet he shows up every day and cheerleads the lack of humanity coming from these Christians. Like, he cheerleads every single day that we're cutting funding for people who desperately need it, because ultimately you just believe that these billionaires, that like somehow cutting this funding is going to help you. I've yet to hear a single Republican explain to me how this is going to help them. We're not cutting enough funding to do any real put any real dent into our debt. The truth is, the only reason they're cutting spending right now is so that their tax cuts don't entirely decimate our economy. They're trying to offset as much as they possibly can for these tax cuts, and they're going through and they're cutting spending for people who desperately need it. They're cutting people's jobs, their livelihoods, people who, like, they've relied on this job. They might be, 55 years old, retirement coming up in the next 10 years, and they're being told, yeah, fuck it, start over. Can you imagine entering the job market right now at 55 years old? And your only real job experience is working for the government for 20, 25 years? How are you going to find a job? How are you going to find how are you going to find a job in the next 10 years that pays out retirement benefits? You're not. You can't replace what these people are having. Our government makes up a massive amount of the employment in this country, and that's fine. I'm tired of Republicans saying that's a problem. I showed you the Freedom Index before. Other countries are far more free, and people are struggling far less than we are. And the government might make up 50% of their workforce. That's fine. Why did we become a country that demonizes government employees? Why do we think that the government shouldn't employ people? Of course it should. Of course, it's employing all these people. It's employing Elon Musk. Elon Musk wouldn't have a job if it wasn't for the government. Elon Musk wouldn't have companies if it wasn't for the government. Why is it okay to fund them but not fund, Gary from next door, who goes to work every single day just to make sure that people, veterans, are getting their payments out every single day? Why do we need to gut that? Push Pop, thank you very much for that donation. It's very generous. Appreciate you. You gifted subs today. Now you're sending donations. I appreciate that very much. Brian says, remember that time Tex flew to New York and was so scared because everyone looked different? I don't remember that. I don't remember what that was. But nobody should be surprised that I don't remember something, because that's pretty par for the course for me. To get all those. I think so. All right. I'm losing my voice. All right, we're gonna move on to DOGE, and Tim Burchett was on CNN. I can't remember this host's name. I don't watch CNN anymore, so I'm not from. If it's not like one of the three people I know, I don't know their name. But this is Tim Burchett here, And just watch, like Republicans do this every time. He's asked a specific question. He has talking points. He's been trained. If they ask you a question you don't like, just deflect and tell the host that they should have asked a different question. Here's Tim Burchett being asked about specifically why we're giving Elon Musk so much power and so much access.
About all this.
Right, but I think that there's a lot of Americans who are supportive of this effort to clear out government waste, including members of Congress on both sides of the aisle. But there's also concern by how much access Musk and DOGE staffers have to their private sensitive data. You're also on the House Oversight Committee, and given what we just talked about, Musk's investments with China and billions of dollars before the government, and now, potentially having access to all this private sensitive data and not having full transparency on what is happening with that.
Yes, ma'am.
What information do you actually have on what DOGE is doing with that data? What are your questions? What do you want to know? Certainly, as a member of the oversight, you have some questions.
Well, first of all, Elon Musk.
Cracking. Sorry. For those of you not on Twitch, Kraken Pill just said he looks like an albino lizard trying to sunbathe. And that cracked me up. Johnny Longtrail says, T equals Trump and P equals Putin. Get it? TP for the bunghole. Well done.
When he owned PayPal, they never had a breach of security. IRS is a nightmare, ma'am. You have folks that still haven't gone back to work 3 or 4 years after COVID. As a United States congressman, I can write a letter of concern over a constituent of mine that's having a problem with the IRS, and it takes up to 6 months for me to get a response.
Look, I'm not saying there's no problems with government agencies or the IRS.
Hold on. You asked me a question.
Yeah, the question was, what questions do you have for Elon Musk? That was the question you were asked. This is like, I'm so fucking tired of these Republican politicians and every politician. When you're asked a question, answer the fucking question, please. You get paid. If you're going to come on TV, if you're going to use this time to boost your own personal account, your own brand, then please answer a fucking question. Just like one time answer a question, please.
You asked me a question.
But you're not answering it.
And the IRS the IRS has hundreds of different groups that have access to this stuff. And yet, no one's complained about that. You don't hear
there's checks and balances in place for the specific system. That's not true. Even the IRS, even politicals and the former IRS commissioner who was just on the show yesterday said even he didn't go to it, and it's highly unusual for politicals to have access to that system. Do you not have questions about what they're doing with the data, why they want access to private tax information from Americans? Do you not have those questions as a member of the Oversight Committee?
I have questions. The only reason you'd have questions is if you're doing something crooked, and you're going to see a lot of congressmen with red faces when they.
You don't have questions? The only questions you have is if you're doing something crooked. What? By the way, this was posted by Benny Johnson. They think that Burchett killed it with this. They're like, look at him, shut her down. Look at him shut this CNN host down. Why do you guys hear this? How do you hear this answer and be like, oh, killed it? He didn't answer a single question. Not a single question. And then he's like, oh, you only ask questions if you got something to hide. Excuse me, what? No. We want you to ask questions about what they have to hide. And by the way, for his example about like, well, there's people at the IRS that have access to your data. Yeah, and if I found out somebody at the IRS, before they came to this job, they were fired because they gave information to the competitor, I would say, let's not hire that person. And by the way, that person wouldn't get fucking hired because we have standards. And we have hiring practices, and you have background checks. And if that person's background check showed that their last job they were fired for sharing secrets, they wouldn't get a job at the IRS. And if you found out that somebody at the IRS was being investigated for their own business, that their own business was being investigated, and suddenly this person at the IRS was investigating the business that was investigating them, or the apparatus that was investigating them, I'd have a problem with that too. no, this whataboutism doesn't make any fucking sense, because you know who wouldn't get a job at the IRS? Any of these people that Elon hired, or Elon. They wouldn't pass a background check in order to get those jobs. And I know the Republicans are like, Elon has top secret clearance. Yes, he does. Yes, he does. He has top secret clearance so that he can launch rockets. That doesn't mean that he would pass a background check for everything else. In fact, he wouldn't pass a background check for what he's doing right now. There's no chance, which is why they didn't give him one. But we've got something in the works for that, by the way. I'm going to cover this tomorrow because our research team was going over it. It came to this morning, and I just didn't feel like I had read enough to go over it. But there's some interesting court rulings coming out of, I believe it's the 12th Circuit, saying that, and Donald Trump is, his lawyers are saying, oh, no. Elon is an employee, but he works under Trump. And if he works under Trump and he's doing these audits, we can do with Elon Musk? FOIA requests. We get to now request any conflicts of interest that he has. There's some interesting lawfare that's about to come out against Elon Musk and Donald Trump, and they better pray to God that the Supreme Court steps in and says, Donald Trump gets to protect whoever he wants, because if he doesn't, we're going to find out a lot of shit about Elon Musk.
They followed this paper trail back to members of Congress, ma'am. And that's the bottom line. Where were they fussing the last 3 or 4 years? I mean, we've had these groups have.
This wasn't happening the last 3 or 4 years, but Democrats have been asking for an audit. We introduced legislation multiple times to audit the Pentagon. Multiple. You know who shot that down? Republicans. Republicans didn't want to audit the Pentagon. Who was calling for this? Sure as shit not you, bitch-ass Tim Burchett. I put these rifles next to me in a skateboard, so you know I love freedom, and I'm kind of a badass, but I just do what I'm told. I show up and do what I'm told. So even as a member of Congress, I didn't know that Democrats have been screaming for you guys to audit the federal government for the last 3 to 4 years. Where were we? We were asking you to audit the goddamn Pentagon. We were begging for it, and now you're like, well, we're not going to audit the Pentagon, but you know what we're going to do is we're going to audit poor people, and we're going to audit organizations that keep people alive all over the world, and that's going to come back. People are going to have tomato on their face when the American people find out that they supported poor people not dying. Oh, no, you caught us. You caught us. We don't think people need to die of malaria. We think people don't need to die of AIDS. We think that it's okay to take the excess food that we produce in America from our farmers, and we get to purchase those goods from those farmers, which keeps those farmers from going bankrupt. And we take that food and we give it to impoverished countries so people don't die. And you're like, you motherfuckers are going to be sorry that we even started this, because you're about to find out that the Democrats all along have been fighting for poor people and not for Elon Musk like we have. We're fighting for Elon Musk. We want to give him the FAA. We want to let him. We want to give him all the Pentagon contracts. We're not saying shit about him trying to merge with Boeing right now and having a massive monopoly. We're here for the rich, and you Democrats are going to be sorry as shit when the American people find out that you're fighting for poor people. Fuck off, Burchett.
Different groups have access. Hundreds of different people have access to this that are nowhere in the scope of what needs to be, and yet no one raised one peep about it. Now Elon Musk gets a hold of it, and he's going to do something. He's going to make some changes that need to be made, and you all are pitching a fit. It's the same old line, man. You attack the message carrier,
clear, you all were not pitching a fit. A lot, as I said, a lot of.
He just attacked the messengers. It's the same old line. You don't attack the substance, you attack the messengers. And I know you asked me a question about substance, and I spent this whole fucking time talking about the messengers, but I'm just doing that to prove that that's what you guys do. You guys only attack the messenger and not the message. And that's why I'm not answering any of your questions or staying on message, and instead, I'm just attacking the messenger. This is turning into George Bush. I just attack the messenger. The point is, if you attack the messenger can't attack back. Back to the Future is one of my favorite movies. And I understand there's a rapper named Future. I don't know if he does rap, but I know he's black, so I'm saying it's rap music. That's Future, rap music, all put together in a single America. God bless America. Now watch me hit this ball.
People think it's a good thing to weed out waste, but there are fair.
Yeah. Sorry about that. I miss Bush. I miss Bush terrible. I didn't think I would miss George Bush. I never thought I would miss George Bush, but here we are. Future looks like an ant. Does he look like an ant? Does Future look like an ant? Let's see. In my head, I was actually picturing The Weeknd in my head and not Future. A little bit. I don't know why I was picturing The Weeknd, but yeah, a little bit. All right, I see it. There we are. A little bit like an ant, yeah. But weirdly, like, just because the movies like A Bug's Life and ants exist, right? Let's see. All right, let me play this. This is a person, I forget her name. Why is this pulling up? This link is pulling up in such a weird way. This is from MSNBC. This is Ariel Kane. She's a former social research analyst for the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services, who just got fired under these DOGE cuts, and she's not being quiet about it. And I love her for this.
Thousands of federal employees have been laid off with their lives completely upended. Elon Musk and Trump have demonized these workers and stripped them of their humanity. But these people, your neighbors, have names, and they aren't just in Washington, D.C. They're in Alaska, Nebraska, Texas, Florida, Georgia, Pennsylvania, Oklahoma, Oregon. These people have food to buy, loans to pay, and kids to feed. These people wanted to work for the federal government because they wanted to help make America a better place to live. That includes Ariel Kane. Up until Saturday, she was working at the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Innovation under the Department of Health and Human Services. Shortly after she got her termination letter, she tweeted directly to Elon Musk. Hey, Elon Musk, your DOGE minions just fired me and my colleagues at CMMI. We were working on improving maternal health outcomes at lower costs so that less pregnant women...
Can we just point out, they were trying to lower costs while keeping more women alive. That's what we're cutting. Hey, I've got an idea. What if less women died and it was cheaper to keep more women alive? Elon's like, fuck it, cut it. Get them out of here. That's who's going to argue with that?
Die in this country. I thought that would fit nicely into your agenda. The administration told the media yesterday that the HHS cuts were targeted and didn't include scientists or people working on Medicare and Medicaid. Well, I know of scientists who got fired, and I work on Medicaid. And Ariel Kane joins me now. Thank you so much for being here, Ariel. And give us a few more details on what your job was.
Thank you so much for having me. So I worked at as you mentioned, the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Innovation, which is a small office within the larger agency. And the goal was to make Medicare and Medicaid even better. They're already pretty good. They're already pretty efficient, but there's always room for improvement. So I worked on one of the models, as I mentioned in my tweet, the one that was working on maternal health.
And how did you find out that you were laid off, fired?
Well, so obviously I follow the news, and I knew that people who were in this probationary category, which I was, were being fired across HHS. And so I was compulsively checking my email. And after a run, I logged onto my computer, and my colleague had pinged me that she had gotten the notice. And then less than an hour later, the exact same notice popped up on my computer. And I had to call my own boss after receiving that email and tell him I was fired.
Wow. And what did the notice say? What did it say was the reason for your termination?
So it cited that my inadequate performance, I forget the exact verbiage, and also that my role is no longer needed at the agency.
And do you know how many of your coworkers, how many people on the staff that you were working on were also let go?
So unfortunately, because of the chaotic way in which how it came about, I don't know how many people across my office, across CMMI were affected, but I do know how many people were impacted on my team. And of a project team of about 12 people, depending on how you count, 4 of them were terminated on Saturday. And 6 more feel very, very vulnerable and feel as though their time is imminent. And so if you take a 12-person team and you cut it by 10, I'm not sure what's left.
Yeah. And what does that do? I mean, give me some of the pragmatic impacts that that's going to have on people who are on Medicare and Medicaid who were counting on your office.
Yeah. So again, Medicare and Medicaid are already like very efficient programs. Most notably, Medicare has 2% administrative costs. So everyone is already kind of the people who run the programs are already operating. We have full workloads. We're working hard to make things run smoothly. And so my biggest fear is that in cutting all these people, these benefits that people rely on, and of course, for me, my program, the program that I hold dearly, that we're not going to achieve the goals that we want. So for my program, for the maternal health program, we were a new program, but we were working to reduce the maternal mortality rate in this country, which is an outlier in all developed countries. And we were just getting off the ground. So I'm not going to say we had,
Just for the men here, because I'm trying not to interrupt because she's brilliant, but for the men here, we have all this money, we have all this technology, we have all these doctors, we have all this research, and yet virtually every other developed country does a better job at keeping women alive when they give birth. Like, we're horrific at it, and our rates aren't getting better. They're getting significantly worse. So we're not talking about like some sort of medical research that doesn't matter. We're talking about keeping more people alive, mothers of children and children alive. We don't do a good job at keeping mothers alive who are trying to have children. We're terrible at it. So this is like a glaring problem. And again, Elon Musk is out there all the time saying, hey, we need more children. And they're cutting funding for this. This is incredibly important research. And I can only imagine that the fact that it says women is why it's being cut.
A boatload of evidence to prove that we were going to be effective, but we were working with states to implement evidence-based strategies. And I'm just worried that without my team, those strategies won't be implemented and we won't make gains on something that we know we can do better on.
And regardless of how, I don't know if you want to share how you voted in November. Is this what you expected this reorganization, this search for efficiency to be like?
I know who she voted for. She completes sentences and asks and answers questions. I know who she voted for.
Yeah, so I'm happy to share. I did not vote for Donald Trump, but obviously I've known since November that he was going to be the next president. And I figured, there would be changes at CMMI. Every administration should be able to emphasize the policies and programs that fit within their agenda. And I was expecting that. I also thought that our program would continue. Our program is a state-based program, so our partners, our counterparts that are implementing the work are 15 states, and they include states like Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, Kansas. These are not beacons of leftist policies, and so and to be specific, like I work directly with Mississippi, and so I thought that this would be just like a nonpartisan issue. Like, we all care about moms and babies. We all want them to have healthy experiences, healthy births. And I thought our project would continue. And to be fair, I don't know the outcome of our project. Like, I'm just fired, so I no longer have insider intel, and maybe it will hobble along. But it really makes me sad because I know the work we were doing was so important, and I thought it was bipartisan.
Yeah. And it should have been bipartisan. Ariel Kane, we wish you the best of luck. Thank you so much. You would think. Thank you. We appreciate you and wishing you all the best. And
you can look at it, I think, 2 different ways. You can look at it in the way that I guess I'm looking at it and saying, like, they just don't care. They don't care about women. They don't care about children. But there's another way to look at it, too. If you want to say that they do care and that this was just an oversight, well, then they're dog shit at their job. And that's the other way to look at a lot of this. The amount of times that DOGE has cut funding or said, like, we're going to cut funding or shut something down, and then they've had to reverse like a week later, tells you how inept these people are and how they don't view government workers as human. Everybody working in the government is terrified right now that they're going to lose their jobs, even the ones that feel pretty secure. And then people get fired, and then like a week later, like, never mind, my bad. Or they get fired, and then a court's like, you can't do that, and we do it. I think we're at like 15 injunctions at this point. It's not even. He's not capable. He's not capable. He doesn't know what he's even looking at. You might as well be playing darts blindfolded or left-handed if you're right-handed. That's what this is like. They're just guessing, and it's affecting real lives, and it's affecting real futures, and it's affecting real people's mental health. And again, Republicans just reduce everything down to a number. The Christian conservatives reduce everything down to a number. Well, it's a bloated bureaucracy, and so we better pay him $8 million a week to fix our bloated bureaucracy and make sure that he's still getting checks for his companies. But these people who have been civil servants their entire life, fuck them. Just, who cares? Like, those are your two arguments if you're a Republican. Either they don't care about women, or they're completely reckless and unqualified to do this job. I don't know. I don't know where everybody lands on that one. I think I know where I land. Bree says, just wanted to send the heartiest fuck you to Tex and other maggots. Couldn't imagine kneeling down to suck Trump and Elon's micro penises every day. You must have a vacuum for a mouth to pull that off. Strong words. Very strong words for the MAGA folk. All right, do that. Jen, you want to do one last one or one more before the hour break? Do your announcements. We end at 2, right?
I'll do as many as I want.
That's right. My bad.
Yeah, so we've got about an hour left, guys. So that's enough.
Now it is.
Now it is. Okay. $112 left. 1 hour before we wrap up. We end each day about 1 Pacific time. So Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, Super Chats, all of that goes to knock out that goal. This is our job. We do this every day, so we need to hit that to keep things going, keep the lights on, all that kind of good stuff. If you haven't subscribed to us over on Twitch and YouTube, please do so. On Twitch, you can use your Amazon Prime sub if you haven't already, or you can use a paid sub. On YouTube, we have 4 different membership options. So you can choose any of those. Goes to the 500 goal for a calendar, and then invite to the Discord. Any mod can get you an invite, so you can message them, or if you want to DM me directly on Discord. Jen, JENN, DUBB, the number 1, and I can get you an invite myself. Also, if you guys if you're on YouTube, or if you're not even on the YouTube currently, if you guys could go over there and leave a like, a comment on any of our videos, that'd be great. If you're in the YouTube currently, there's a little heart. If you could hit the like on that, that would be great too, so we can promote the stream more. That would be great. And then, how do you communicate with a dead CEO?
I don't know.
A Luigi board.
Jesus. All right. A Luigi board. All right. Great news. House Committee on Financial Services. Here's what Republicans decided that they were up to today. Republicans, they're for the people, of the people, by the people, and for the people. Here's what they decided to do. House Financial Service Committee Chairman French Hill, nice name, and Senate Banking Committee Chairman Tim Scott introduced Congressional Review Act resolutions to overturn the Biden administration's Consumer Financial Protection Bureau's final rule capping overdraft fees at banks and credit unions. The committee leaders cited the rule's impact on access to important financial services and reiterated that lawful and contractually agreed upon payment incentives promote financial discipline and responsibility. Hey, remember those overdraft fees? They're coming back. We don't like it when banks can't charge you overdraft fees, or their overdraft fees can be capped. This was for anybody in these states. Feel free to call your favorite friends in Congress or in the Senate. They were joined by Bill Huizenga of Michigan, Ann Wagner of Missouri, Andy Barr of Kentucky, Roger Williams and his bitch ass in Texas, William Timmons in South Carolina, Ralph Norman in South Carolina, Dan Muser, Pennsylvania, Byron Donalds, who just announced he's running for governor in Florida, Andy Ogles, that dumb bitch from Tennessee, Maria Salazar, who I've never heard, I don't really know anything about, Troy Downing, Montana, Mike Herodopoulos in Florida. Okay, so we've got, why did this say, did I say Senate? This got to be Congress. These are not senators. Sorry, I might have said, so I thought I read something that said Senate earlier, but in Senate, okay, we got House and Senate. Never mind, my bad. That's why, it's House and Senate. Glenn Grothman from Wisconsin, Mike Crapo, who actually, fun fact about Mike Crapo's real name is Mike Shitto, but he lives in Idaho and you're not allowed to say shit, so it's Crapo. Roger Wicker in Mississippi, Jim Risch also in Idaho, Jerry Moran from Kansas, John Bozeman from Arkansas, Tom Tillis, Kevin Kramer, Cynthia Loomis, Bill Haggerty, Katie Boyd, Britt. Oh, she's Boyd Britt. I've only heard Katie Britt. Pete Ricketts. Anyways, here's what they had to say. Chairman Hill said, Tim Scott and I were clear when we told federal agencies, including the CFPB, to stop all midnight rulemaking, which former Director Chopra blatantly disregarded. Midnight rulemaking is basically like the stuff they were doing on Biden's way out. In this case, capping overdraft fees. Oh, no. How could they? How could these evil Democrats not let banks charge people massive overdraft fees? There's egg on our face again. Oh, no. You caught us. You caught us trying to defend poor people again. Sorry. Sorry about that. You caught us trying to defend people who make one mistake and get charged hundreds or thousands of dollars. Sorry about that. My bad. As he says, as I've consistently said, the CFPB needs guardrails on its enforcement and rulemaking powers, and this rule is another clear example of why. The CFPB's actions on overdraft is another form of government price controls that hurt consumers who deserve financial protections and greater choice. How? Capping, this is what they're saying, capping overdraft fees hurts consumers somehow who deserve financial protections, which is what this was a financial protection, and it limits choice. They can't go to, now these poor consumers can't go to a bank that charges $5,000 for an overdraft fee. They have no choice but to bank at a bank that only charges $30 for an overdraft fee. Is this real freedom, folks? Is this true freedom? You should be able to choose a bank that charges you $45 million for every single overdraft charge. That's what you should do. Chairman Scott, the Biden administration, CFPB routinely targeted legitimate payment incentives and practices in pursuit of political headlines over sound policies. No, just helping poor people. Just helping poor people. Yeah, I guess, yeah, I think maybe they're jealous. They're like, they're always getting these headlines that talk about how they're helping people who need help, and we never get those headlines. I mean, we don't help anybody who needs help, but we don't get the headlines. We would really like the headlines. The overdraft rule was yet another example. Many consumers rely on overdraft services to make ends meet, and limiting this practice will push Americans to riskier financial products. Many consumers rely on overdraft services to make ends meet. So I think, like, if I'm gonna view this in the best possible light, I think what Chairman Scott and Chairman Hill are saying is that some banks might not allow you to overdraft your account anymore because you capped the amount they can charge for overdraft fees. And so I think what they're trying to say is banks will no longer allow you to overdraft your account if they can't charge you exorbitant fees. But some banks will. And since some banks will and some banks won't, now you have less choices. To me, that sounds an awful lot like the free market. Some banks are offering products that other banks aren't. And you could choose between one that offers that service or one that doesn't offer that service. This is fucking crazy. Here's what really happened. All these bitches here with the R and state name next to them, every one of them is funded by banks. They're all getting kickbacks from banks. And the banks came to them and said, hey, we like that we can charge overdraft fees. So can you sponsor a bill? And they're like, fuck yeah, we'll do whatever you want. And then they got together at the last minute and they're like, how are we going to spin this so people don't think we're just doing what the banks say and we're trying to help consumers? Let's talk about choice. Let's convince the American people that this is really about choice. Now, look, we don't like overdraft fees and we don't like predatory banks. We just want you to be able to choose which bank you bank with, which you can do, which none of this changed. But this is how they spin shit to Republicans, and Republicans just, thank you. Thank you for protecting us from not having to pay massive overdraft fees. I hate it when I only have to pay $30 for an overdraft fee. I want to be charged $500. It's going to get clipped. I know it. I already know it's getting clipped. I've stopped looking at the RTP out of context page. I don't look at it anymore, and I don't look at the Sister Wives one anymore because I know what I did. Sometimes you got to do it. Sometimes you just got to open up and let it happen. Adam Kinzinger had a fair question. I don't know what's he doing these days. Wearing T-shirts though. He's happy. Here's a suggestion from Adam Kinzinger.
Hey guys, here's a great question. So, in 2011, we were elected and we cut our budget like 10%, something like that. Well, now congressional Republicans are demanding that all these agencies cut their budget and cut staff, and they don't even care. They just think it's fun to do that. The congressional budgets have gone up 52%. So here's the deal, at least since I was in. Here's the deal. How about we start calling on congressional Republicans to cut the budget, their own budgets? Each House member gets about $1.5 million. Each senator gets upwards of around $4 million. How about they cut those 20%? And each House member has 18 employees. How about they each lay off 2 employees? Now, when this starts hurting their offices, maybe they won't be as quick as to just back DOGE in these asinine cuts that are happening. We're all for smaller government, but it needs to be done efficiently. So how about House Republicans, you take a cut in your own budget and you lose people too? That makes sense to me.
The thing is Republicans will be like, yeah, we'll do that, and then they'll never introduce a bill to do it. Like, it's an easy one to get away with, but it's a good point. He said the word asinine, which always reminds me, my childhood soccer coach was very, very Mormon. He was like a Mormon author. He was also a great coach and a great human being, and I don't mean to dismiss him. He did not curse, and we weren't allowed to curse. We got in trouble if we would curse, and he heard it. And one day he called a referee an asinine idiot. But we were 12 years old when this happened, and we had never heard the word asinine, so we thought he called the referee an ass-nine idiot. And for like 3 years, I thought ass-nine idiot was like a special type of idiot, and I would insult people by saying, you're an ass-nine idiot. So that's just a fun fact. What, you want to see the out of context? All right, let's see the out of context. Let's see what we have in there. This could be a problem. We're going to open up the RTP out of context. There's also one called Why is RTP canceled today? Is that the one it is? Is it Why is RTP canceled today? That doesn't have anything in it for a long time. Where is it? There we go. All right, let's see what we got. Some of these are pretty good. I'll just read them. At one point I said, we're supposed to get 3 to 7 inches today. I can't get any harder. I'm just polling blind. What is this? Like, nobody's as soft as a conservative. Ladies, you know what I'm talking about. Those conservative men are soft as shit. That's why every time you go to a conservative podcast, it's like, and now to our sponsor, Blue Chew. Your dick can work again. You don't have to scream at women when your dick doesn't work. This'll fix it. That's a good ad. That's a good ad. Well done, Bowsy, on that one. Look how small it is. This is the whole thing. What's this? We're tapped, dude. We're tapped.
Explaining how tariffs tax the middle class.
Okay.
Because from what?
Okay, let's use this. This is a bottle of lotion, okay? Let's just pretend that this bottle of lotion comes from China and that this bottle of lotion has a tariff on it, and it's a 30% tariff. I didn't see a problem with that one. I didn't even know what that was.
What do you call?
Oh, that's a joke. Thanks for keeping me informed. Lick me. Yeah, all right. There you go. There you go. And then, of course, my favorite clip ever to come out of there is this one. Like, if I get a pool noodle and go to the park and LARP with my friends and dress up in costumes, how's that any different than being a Republican? Oh, it's because the lotion was on my desk. Got bad news. There's lotion on my desk now. I even got this. This shit's great. We're not sponsored, but Duke Cannon. You can get it at Target. Bloody Knuckles. If you got dry knuckles, try Duke Cannon. He's a Duke shot from a cannon. I got lotion all over the place. I got fish oil here. I got nicotine. I got this sweet craft that my daughter made for me. She makes me crafts every day. This is the newest one. She just I don't know how to stop her from doing this, but she just, like, if she finds trash anywhere, she has a mind where she wants to make a craft out of anything. So, like, she'll find a craft or like a straw, and then she'll come home and make a craft out of it. It's kind of gross sometimes, but how about that moose knuckle? How about that moose knuckle? That's a good question. Thank you for asking. It's doing fine. The moose knuckle is fine. Let's get back to the show. You guys derailed me. You can't derail me when you know I have ADHD. I don't think that's fair. Somebody said, I actually want to play this. Shit, I closed it. Somebody told me that Stephen Miller just lost his fucking mind on CNN. Is this it? I saw one that was like 3 minutes long. I want to get the whole thing. There we go. How long is this one? There it is. Let's see. Somebody said he just absolutely lost his mind. So let's see.
So who is in charge of DOGE?
The President of the United States.
He's the administrator of DOGE?
No, the DOGE is what was formerly U.S. Digital Services. It's an agency of the federal government that reports into the Executive Office of the President, which reports to the President of the United States.
Okay.
The way that Article 2 works is the President wins an election, and then he appoints staff, including myself, including Mike Waltz, including Susie Wiles,
Yes.
including Elon Musk, and those staff report to him.
Okay, well aware. So Elon Musk a week ago answered a question about transparency at DOGE. This is how he spoke about DOGE.
Well, we actually are trying to be as transparent as possible. In fact, we post our actions to the Doge handle on X. And
by the way, that's a fucking lie. He does not do that. Go to the Doge handle on X. They never post their actions. They just post screenshots of things from usspending.gov. That's it.
To the Doge website. So all of our actions are maximally transparent.
But you hear him there. We post our actions. All of our actions are maximally transparent. Does Elon Musk know he's not in charge of DOGE?
Again, the president runs the government, then the president appoints advisors, including Elon, including myself, including all the other staff here at the White House, and then those staff in turn execute the president's commands and directions to all the agencies of the federal.
I want to know how Stephen Miller does all these interviews outside and yet is still translucent. Somebody's got to explain that to me.
Government. This is how democracy works, something that we treasure in America. The whole American people go to the ballot box, they elect the president appoints staff, the staff that administer his orders and directives across the whole U.S. government.
Okay, Stephen, I get that, but this is important because we want to talk about who's making the decisions here. There were 300 employees, the National Nuclear Security Administration. You know about this. They were fired. The agency had to rescind those terminations because these were employees who were critical to maintaining the nation's nuclear stockpile. So then who is it making those decisions of which federal employees are terminated?
Well, in that case, the Secretary of Energy would be the one. So what you're describing with the cuts in the Department of Energy, those are directed by the Senate-confirmed Secretary of Energy.
Okay, so that was the Secretary of Energy's mistake.
Well, I wouldn't use the term mistake. I would say
I wouldn't use the term mistake. He just gave him a vacation. It was just like a quick vacation. It wasn't a mistake. I mean, he did have to undo it immediately, but it wasn't a mistake. It was just a vacation.
Say that it's pretty standard when you're downsizing government. You make cuts, you assess those cuts, you see who needs to be rehired, who needs to be kept, who needs to be
That's not what happened here, though, Stephen. You know that. They were rescinded.
Things.
These aren't normal things. These were terminations that were rescinded.
I understand that even a temporary interruption in federal employment is a great crisis and catastrophe for you and for CNN. What the American people see is a
nuclear scientists, people who control our nuclear apparatus. Yeah, it's a grave threat. And by the way, like, look, I merged with the company. The last time I worked for somebody else, we were forced to merge. I had a DirecTV retailer, and they forced us to merge with another company who had ownership, and we merged with that company. And I can tell you what, like, we did have to analyze each department. What we didn't do is fire all the departments and then rehire them, because that would have been fucking stupid. That is so stupid. That is literally the worst possible way you could handle this. If you're going to do downsizing, you don't do it by firing everybody and then rehiring them. That would be the dumbest possible way to handle it, which is exactly what happened.
A government that is finally delivering a promise of accountability under President Trump. You want to have a conversation about transparency?
Please.
Let me ask you a question.
Okay.
Do you have any idea where the $22 billion that the Department of Health and Human Services provided to illegal aliens under Joe Biden is right now? $22 billion with a B. That's
I don't know, but let's Google it. Let's see. I guarantee he's wrong. 22 billion illegal immigrants. Let's see the fact check there. I haven't heard this one yet, so do we have one yet? Let's go to X and see if anybody's fact check. I don't even know what this claim is. Does anybody know what this claim is? And sorry, it's still trying to give me million. All right, I don't know what that claim is. So if we can figure out what the claim is, we'll address it.
enough to provide a free house to every homeless veteran in America. Where's the $22 billion? I don't know. You don't know. Nobody knows. Joe Biden just spent it, and now it's gone. Transparency begins with having an account.
Well, first of all, that's fucking stupid, because Joe Biden can only spend money that's appropriated by Congress. So why don't you ask Congress? Why are you asking a CNN host? Why aren't you asking? By the way, who was in charge? Who controlled Congress? Was that the Republicans? Oh, okay. Why aren't you asking Mike Johnson? That's who you should ask this question to. Why are we asking Elon Musk the questions that Mike Johnson should be answering? Why? Because it's not really about that. None of it is about that. It's not about finding answers. It's about justification for cutting shit. Otherwise, they would just ask Mike Johnson. It's his job. They would go to the oversight committee and they would say, hey, oversight committee, what's your job? And they would say, right here, oversight. And they're like, great, can you do oversight here? And they're like, nah, just have Elon do it. Just have Elon do our job for us.
Counting of where every federal dollar is spent. And God bless President Trump for leading this effort.
God bless him.
Stephen, it seems like the crisis here had to do with the nation's nuclear stockpile. And for these particular federal workers, which I'm not, so this isn't my personal crisis, military members of the Guard and the Reserve.
I don't think it's a crisis, and
well,
you don't think it's
well,
hold on. I don't think it's a crisis, and you don't think it's a crisis. Then why are we talking about it?
Military.
He's always thinks he's landing so many points. Yeah, look, I'm tired. Like, Republicans, if you want to celebrate people who show up on CNN every day and don't answer fucking questions and just lie, like, it's literally what you are. I did read that one, Jen. I did read that one, and thank you for reminding me. Okay, he didn't freak out on that clip. I don't know if there was a different clip that we said he was freaking out on. Not sure. So here is Martin O'Malley. He worked for
I think she had
the Social Security Administration under, I think, Biden and Obama. Not sure. This is him on with Andrew Cuomo. And they're talking about could Elon Musk DOGE actually ruin Social Security? I thought this was an interesting clip.
real beef. I've known Michelle King, like I got to know.
Oh yeah, important to remember that Michelle King resigned, and she resigned because of she wouldn't give access to certain things to Elon Musk. And Elon Musk is out there because he doesn't know how any of this shit works, falsely claiming that like I think billions of dollars are being sent to dead people, which has been debunked over and over and over again. But because Elon Musk owns his own social media platform where he just throttles views and he makes sure that his stuff is seen more than anybody else's, Republicans don't know that it's a lie, and he's just pushing it. And that's kind of what Elon does. Like, he just keeps lying until publicly somebody's able to nail him down on it. And he's like, oh yeah, that was wrong. It's like, bro, an hour ago you were still saying it was true. Why are you saying it's wrong now? You either don't know or you knew you were lying. It's weird.
The other people in the senior executive service at Social Security, you'd never find a finer public servant than Michelle King. She oversaw all of the field off.
Sorry. Thank you. Just another Twitch load. So it sounds like we know where that money went. Okay. So ORR went to it spent grants for nonprofits to provide everything from help accessing Medicaid to help building credit to help with home and auto loans. Great. So it sounds like we know where it went.
Offices, that's 1,211 field offices all across America. She, like the other civil servants there, was beyond reproach, totally honest, not at all involved in politics. And I say hats off to her. If the reports are true that she wouldn't go along with the criminal activity that Elon Musk, the co-president, wanted her to engage in, hey, I think she should hold her head high. The only thing we're ever guaranteed of in any job is doing our very best and leaving with our integrity intact. So I'm glad she did that. And I think she's a patriot if the reports I'm hearing are true.
Hey, Gov, for you at home,
By the way, that split screen was horrific. News Nation is still struggling to get it together. They just cut off each other's heads for that massive picture of the former Secretary of Social Security, or what's her role? Director of Social Security.
Who Governor O'Malley is. He was president. He was governor of Maryland. I made a bid for being president. Could make another one. So the waste, fraud, and abuse dance. You know it as a person who's in power, and you know from people who want to take you out of power by saying that they're going to solve it. The idea that that's what Musk is about, do you believe that at this point?
No.
Are you laughing at my question? You're laughing at my question. You're handsome. You're not that handsome. Don't laugh at my question.
Hello.
I'm laughing at Elon Musk. I mean, let's be honest here. I mean, this guy and his nitwit 19-year-olds that he...
It's pronounced titty milk boys, and I do have a problem with him laughing at his own joke that hard. That is a little cringy there, but it's the titty milk boys.
That he sent in there to claim that, there's 200 million dead Americans that are receiving Social Security benefits, or that there's, a dozen people who are 150 years old. I mean, which would have meant, Chris, that they would have been 60 years old the day that FDR signed Social Security into being. He doesn't know what he's talking about. And those kids have no idea of the very old COBOL-based system that the professionals there have to keep taped together. Look, the biggest thing he really should be focused on, and we used to focus on fraud on an every 2-week basis, on an agile software development sort of basis. The real fraud happens when people call in and they try to switch accounts and take Mrs. Kaczynski's, hijack her benefits. That's where most of the fraud comes from. But the biggest problem is at Social Security? They're serving more people than ever every single day with staffing that House Republicans have reduced to a 50-year low. And now Donald Trump and co-president Elon Musk want to drive more people out of there, which is going to mean that the whole place could very well collapse. Mark my words, Chris. This program
God
that
forbid.
So many people depend on as a lifeline could very well be broken by these nitwit 19-year-olds and the co-presidents.
And by the way, people die at that point. That's death. If Social Security collapses, people die. Hundreds of thousands, maybe millions. People die. That's what we're dealing with here. These are people who cannot, if they miss 1 month of Social Security, people die. If they miss 2 weeks of Social Security, people die. And this has been the Republican plan all along. It's been since Ronald Reagan. They introduced 401ks, like 401ks were going to be the solution to Social Security. Anybody with a 401k knows that they're pretty shitty in terms of return on investment. Social Security is adjusted for income, or I mean for inflation. It's solid. It's there. It's guaranteed. It's guaranteed by our government so that people don't have to work for their entire lives just until they die one day. They said they weren't coming after Social Security. The new budget has cuts to Social Security. The new budget has cuts to Medicare. The new budget has cuts to Medicaid. The new budget has cuts to veterans, to the VA. And why? So they can give this dumb fucking guy more tax breaks. They are like this. It's not hyperbole to say Republicans are 100% okay with killing people in order for Elon Musk and his friends to get tax breaks. It's not hyperbole. There's nothing hyperbolic about that. Just statistically speaking, every dollar that we drop under the average, under what it takes for people to live, like people die. Poverty drops, people die. Wealth inequality goes up, people die. All of the stuff that they're trying to do, everything they're trying to protect means more people die. And if I was more conspiratorial, I would say maybe that's the plan. And you've heard Republicans behind closed doors talk about this, like, well, maybe just some people need to die. Get them off the rolls. Maybe we don't have to support those people anymore. Get them off the Social Security rolls. I mean, we do have a problem. Like you had the baby boomer generation, which is the second biggest generation behind the kids that they made. You have this boomer generation that's dying out right now. You have our generation who is also paid into Social Security, and you have this next generation who is paying for the people with Social Security right now. And Republicans are saying, like, we should just let more people die so that we pay less in taxes, which is crazy. Like, I would venture that every single person here right now knows somebody who is dependent on Social Security. I think everybody here probably knows somebody that is dependent, like their life is dependent on Social Security, and they're just out here fucking around with it.
You know, there's another, what I believe to be a red herring, but I want your take on it because you ran it. The idea that, there are more Social Security numbers than there are people in this country. That's a great data point, and especially when you apply it to illegal entrants. And they'll say, yeah, because a lot of these people are using fake Social Security numbers. And so then I do some homework and I look into it and I look at it from the advocacy side. And then I also...
Yeah. If you make a fake Social Security number and that Social Security number doesn't match a Social Security number from the Social Security Administration, you're not getting Social Security. This is silly. Fake Social Security numbers are for like employment, and you may be able to get employment because your employer doesn't verify that. But like I had to use E-Verify. When somebody gave me a Social Security number, that Social Security number had to match with one that was assigned to somebody. And there, occasionally, admittedly, we would get a Social Security number, and it's like, wait a minute, you're not a 75-year-old woman. How did you get this? You're a college student. Or you look great for 75. But you can't just like make up a number and then get Social Security benefits.
So look at it from the government side, and the two sides agree, yeah, they do. They use it so that they can pay into the system. They just don't get any benefits out of it, and it's such an interesting untold story.
That's true. So then, if you don't go through if you don't go through the process, if you can slip through the system with a fake Social Security number, or even with somebody else's Social Security number, you'll never be able to benefit from that. You're just going to pay into Social Security. Those taxes are going to come out of your check. And I would imagine that there is not a lot of I'd imagine there's not very many people at the Social Security Administration who are like, hey, this person's paying taxes, but we don't have them on the registration. We don't have them on the list of people. We better stop taking their taxes. I bet they just still take those taxes. In fact, we know that if we poll people who are working off of somebody else's Social Security number, if we poll them out and they stop paying into Social Security is going to be a problem. The trust is gone.
Out illegal entrance. Is that true in your experience, that they are using fake numbers so employers who want to escape, the eye of the law pay in for them, but these people don't wind up getting the benefits?
That's true. You said a few things. Let's unpack them. It is true that so-called illegal immigrants, people working here outside of legal status, do in fact pay in $22 billion a year that they'll never see a penny of. During the campaign, Donald Trump's mailing said Kamala Harris wants to let more illegal immigrants in to bankrupt the Social Security Trust Fund. That's not possible because illegal immigrants, so-called, cannot get a dime. They don't even get credit for working here, but they contribute to you and to me $22 billion a year. In terms of there being more Social Security numbers, though, than there are people in the United States, I think that part of what Elon Musk and all of this spew, and he throws a bunch of crap against the wall every day, perhaps because Social Security is the second most trusted government program after Smokey the Bear and the National Park Service.
Hey, thanks for watching. Go to
Thank you. How many more fuck ups does this guy have to make before we're like, hey, you keep fucking up? maybe you're not up for the job here. Let me read a message from Cam real quick. We have 27 minutes. Let's see if we can knock out that goal in 27 minutes. And let's see if we can get some people who have never donated before instead of the same people every time that close out this gift goal. That would be awesome to see. Cam says it takes a lot of caucasity for Stephen Miller to be a white supremacist. Like, you are the pinnacle of the human species, Stephen. You're ugly as hell. That's true. He's lonely for a reason. Cameron also says, I think some of us are wondering if you know what a moose knuckle is. Yeah, moose knuckle is like when the shorts, like I've got on gym shorts right now. If I pulled them tight, I'm doing it. I'm actually doing the. I'm not going to show you, but if I pull them tight and you were to have an eye level view of my crotch, you would see what might appear to be the knuckle of a moose, but instead is testicles. The outline of testicles. Come on now. We could talk. We knew moose knuckles. We knew camel toe. We knew those ones. Like we knew all the stuff we weren't supposed to say. We just didn't know where any of the stuff was supposed to go in order to make a child. Isn't that a moose knuckle? Wait, that's a moose knuckle, isn't it? What do you mean not quite? Jen, did I get that wrong? Jen, are you there? I got it wrong for real? All right. Well, actually, I can just Google it. Fuck it. I got a computer in front of me. I always thought that's what what's a moose knuckle, Jen?
Well, I mean, the way I understood it was.
No, I nailed it. I nailed it. A moose knuckle.
I thought you had. Yeah, I mean, I thought it was more for guys. Like the camel for women, moose are for men.
Yeah, that's what it's saying here too. Moose knuckles is a slang term for the outline of a man's genitalia that is visible through clothing. It is often used to describe when pants, shorts, or underwear are too tight. And the etymology of that is, fuck you, say muted, Jamie. Moose knuckles is named after the cloven hoof of a moose. It's the male equivalent of the female term camel toe. How dare all of you saying I got it wrong?
That's what I said.
I know, yeah. Thanks for defending me. I appreciate that.
I mean, things that are inappropriate, I typically know. So that.
Camel toe is for ladies, right?
Yeah, that's obvious. So.
There you go.
So it's 108 left for a goal.
Yeah, I got one right. This is the first time. All right. Thanks,
There
Jen.
you go. Well, since I'm here.
Oh, yeah. Yell at him for a minute.
Yeah. Yeah, like Jay mentioned, we've got 25 minutes left, so if we can jump on the rest of that gift goal, that'd be fantastic. What spray do they use to kill bugs in Alabama?
What spray do they use to kill bugs in Alabama? I don't know.
Incesticide.
I knew it was incest. I couldn't get it. Incestify. Yeah, incesta.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
All right, that's pretty good. Incestify. That's pretty good. I watched this awesome thing last night. I'm going to show you guys this, and we'll drop it in the YouTube, in the Discord. I forgot all about this, and this is my ADHD brain. But I was thinking about showing it. I don't know. I don't know if I'm allowed. Like, it's just so long. But let me show you this video I watched. This lady that I just recently discovered. She's incredible. I want to be her best friend. It's like a Terra PBS or something like that. This is this morning. She's where is it? Son of bitch. Is this it? I think this might be
The
it.
most expensive.
Yeah. Have you guys seen this channel? This channel is amazing. It's Maya May, and it's Terra PBS. She talks about I'll show you this right here. I'll show you just a little clip here. She was talking about Florida yesterday.
The South is truly ground zero for most of the extreme weather we currently face, and nearly all of it is projected to get worse in the future. But where are the riskiest parts of the region? Well, let's take a look. As I know firsthand from living in a place like Atlanta, the South is no stranger to extreme heat, and that heat keeps getting worse. The hottest city in the US, Phoenix, Arizona, is also one of the fastest growing cities. In 2024, it broke its own heat record with 70 days over 110 degrees. And on top of that heat, the South is also likely to experience more extreme precipitation in the future. The US
I don't know the actress's name, but in I think it's in the second what's that movie with Jonah Hill and Channing Tatum where they're cops? Whatever it's called. And like his girlfriend that's Ice Cube's her dad. It looks like her. And I think her name's actually Maya in that show. Anyways, I highly recommend this. There's one I'm going to show tomorrow about like farming. But if you guys aren't following this channel, it's PBS Terra right there. Highly recommend it. I'm going to use some of these videos going forward. But it's just Terra, I assume it's referring to the Earth. It's all about climate change, but in a really fascinating way. I don't remember why that came up because of pesticides. Because there was a episode where they were talking about like farmers using what are those drones to spray pesticides so they could target the pesticide and that way use a lot less of it, which is good for our environment. It was talking about like refilling aquifers. Like California is doing some incredible stuff to refill aquifers that have been bled dry, and they're figuring out how to do that. Like, global warming is a real problem. Climate change, I guess, is a real problem. But like, it's cool to see the scientists figuring out ways to like undo some of the damage that we've done. There was my ADHD brain. I hope you guys enjoyed that. In fact, I will show the entire video if we knock out I'll stay late if we knock out that goal. Before we go, I'll stay for the whole video if you guys want to do that. Now, Namashi says, wish could be more. Thank you for the donation there. Or we can watch it tomorrow. Yeah, shout out California. California gets way too much shit for all this stuff they try. At least they try. We'll watch it tomorrow. If we knock it out, I'll watch the whole video tomorrow. How about that? Okay. Where's my outline? There we go. Just a reminder, this was just a status or a tweet that I saw, and just as a reminder, January 20th, FAA director was fired. January 21st, air traffic controller hiring was frozen. January 22nd, aviation safety committee disbanded. 28th, buyout retirement sent to existing non-employees. January 29th, first American mid-air collision in 16 years. I don't know what to make of all these crashes, but there sure seem to be a lot of them while they're dismantling the FAA, which we now know that Elon Musk, they just actually want to take that over and privatize it. That's the plan. Elon Musk is like, I'll do the FAA. Here's Caroline Leavitt talking about the FAA, Social Security Administration and their directive to find fraud. And Caroline Leavitt, like always, doesn't really know what's going on. She's just reading from a paper. Listen to this claim she makes.
He is now delivering on it, and I've been fighting fake news reporters all day long here in the Washington, D.C. swamp who are trying to fearmonger the American people into believing that this administration is going after their hard-earned tax.
Oh, girl got a new upper lip. You guys notice that? Old girl got herself a fuller upper lip there. Good for her. It's not moving super well. They're still breaking it in. but she got herself a new upper lip.
Dollars in their hard-earned Social Security checks. So I want to set the record straight on your show tonight, Sean, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity to do so. President Trump has directed Elon Musk and the DOGE team to identify fraud at the Social Security Administration. They haven't dug into the books yet, but they suspect that there are tens of millions of deceased people who are receiving fraudulent Social Security payments.
They haven't done any research, but they think tens of millions. There's been a fact check on this. In fact, we have people in our government that we hire to do this. They're called inspector generals, and Elon Musk and the Republicans just fired a bunch of them. In 2015, a report from 2015. The SSA had not established controls to annotate death information on the Numadent records of number holders who exceeded maximum reasonable life expectancies of age 112 or older and were likely deceased. At this time when they had not put the controls in, only 35 known living individuals worldwide were over 112 or older. However, SSA's Numadent included 6.5 million number holders aged 112 or older whose record did not contain death information. Therefore, the number holders' information did not appear in the full DMF. We recommended SSA add death information to approximately 1.5 million Numadent records where the number holders' death information appeared in the payment records. We also recommended SSA determine whether it could efficiently correct the approximately 5 million remaining records. So we just didn't have a record of their death. That's it. These people weren't being paid. There's no effort or no evidence that these people were receiving benefits. They just were on the records because they close it out once you have a death record, which we didn't have. That's it. That's the whole thing. No evidence that any of these people were being paid. In fact, there was like 6.5 million people for sure that we know weren't being paid that were still on the records, just because they hadn't received a death notice. And if Elon Musk wants to go in and say, hey, we need to create a system that allows us to clear up this record quicker, fine. Is it a national emergency? Absolutely not. Could it be more efficient? Certainly. And if he wants to go in and make things more efficient, that would be terrific. But can he stop lying? And they're pre-lying now. They're like, we don't know what the numbers are. It could be 1, it could be 6 million, but we believe it's tens of millions. Why? Why do you believe it's tens of millions? Because we believe it. We believe that it's tens of millions. And why? Belief. We just believe it. What was this one? This is I think this guy is, his name is shit, what is his name? His last name is Levi. I forgot what his first name was. He's saying, like, we got a little anxiety here. Can you please, Elon? There's people that voted for you. I think he says he voted for him. Like, can you not fuck up lives for poor people, please? Please. And he's saying please, and he's got a nice scarf on. Pretty little necklace there. His beard is well manicured. He's got that salt and pepper hair. He came in his very best outfit to Jesse Waters to ask Elon, hey, please don't fuck this up for everybody.
You know, listen, for people sitting where we're sitting, I was very supportive of Bobby Kennedy. That led me to Donald Trump. And I am so grateful. I am so grateful that the election went the way that it did. And specifically because people like Bobby and Tulsi Gabbard are now in there and confirmed and can do the work. And listen, DOGE is complicated, right? Like, there are a lot of people that are.
I can't believe people exist that vote, like, we're excited about RFK and Tulsi. That's crazy.
Very afraid right now because there are truly good working people that work for the government that are getting lost in the cracks. And we have got to do something about that. Please, Elon and all of your team and whatever needs to happen, please don't let everybody fall through the cracks.
Zachary
as we
Levi,
are
thanks.
doing what is necessary, which is to get in there and, like, cut a cancer out, man. You know, sometimes they go in for cancer surgeries, doctors, and you lose some good, healthy tissue along in that. They don't want to do that, but it's a part of, like, extracting that darkness out of there. And right now, that's what's happening. But there are good people that voted for Donald Trump, who are losing their job. And we got to make sure that we don't leave those folks behind.
When you go in and you're cutting out a cancer and good tissue comes out with the cancer, it's because you have to cut out the cancer. And if you don't cut into good tissue, the cancer doesn't come out. Now, I don't know how to tell him this, but this is not cancer. This is not surgery. This is not nobody's using a scalpel. You actually don't have to cut out good stuff to cut out bad stuff. You don't at all. It's not life-threatening. You can only cut out the bad stuff. You can do that. In fact, some would say that's how you measure competency, that if you're going to make cuts, that you only cut stuff that is bad. Some would say that's how we should judge Elon Musk. But even like they are setting the bar the lowest possible. Like, hey, Elon, we know you're going to fuck up a lot, but like, don't totally fuck up, okay? Could you just not totally fuck it? We understand if you're cutting out the cancer and you chop off an arm too. Don't take the heart. Don't take the legs too. Like, we get it. We know that you were trying to. That's a weird sound. We know you were trying to cut out cancer and you got an arm, and we're cool with that. You're going to reattach the arm, but please, for the love of God, don't cut off the other arm. Don't cut off the head. Let me read some comments here. Jamar says, speaking of invading yourself, would anal be called space invading? Sure. I don't know. I'm not. Look, I'm not an expert on that. I think perhaps you might have more expertise on that than I do. Jason says for. Jason says for Bree and Jay's sex tape.
He's trying to fuck RTP. She'll make him better than a cherry. Bree's trying to fuck RTP. Bree's trying to fuck RTP.
And that wipes out the gift goal. So thank you for that. Appreciate it. How much time do we have left? About 10 minutes. This was interesting. I liked this. This was a moment caught on CNN. This is, I think his name is Adolph Jennings. Just fair question here by CNN. I don't know who any of these people are. I'm tired of trying to track down their names. So we're gonna say CNN versus Adolph Jennings here. I thought this was a great moment.
Even if someone dies, or even if someone, because we're talking
alleging
about
that someone has died from this?
even if someone dies, or even if someone, because
Are
we're
you
talking
alleging
about
that someone has died from this?
we don't know. I'm talking about when the rubber meets the road. I'm talking about, for example, Kansas City, 30,000 government employees might be laid off. It will destroy the economy of Kansas City. That's okay.
Why do you say that?
Because I'm reading what the individuals from Kansas City have been saying, that they're very concerned.
What do you think they're going to say when they're going to get whacked?
Of course they're going to say that. But my point is, do we think that's smart
Does
to live in an American city just go under?
How many American cities need a massively oversized federal government to stay afloat? I mean, isn't that...
A lot. A lot, because you know what? The private sector and dirtbags like Kevin O'Leary, they've sucked out all the profit and all the capital from all of these companies that they invest in, and they pay shit wages. And what capitalists like Kevin O'Leary are consistently trying to do is take away jobs. They want less jobs because then they make more profit. We don't have replacement jobs for these people. We don't have a place for them to go. This is what they do. This is the apparatus that we've built. There's not what are you going to do with starving people? What are you going to do with people who lose their homes? What's the plan? Can a Republican tell us what the plan is, please? What are you going to do once all these government employees have lost their job and they can't find employment elsewhere? What's the plan?
It says more about the city than the government?
But when did we get to the point where presidents are measuring themselves by how many people they put out of work instead of how many people they get jobs
Not a moment too soon.
Yeah,
this
is crazy. This is
because the government only ever gets
big
bigger,
fat
never
chickens,
smaller.
hopefully they lay some eggs and maybe then we can afford it.
This strikes me as
fat.
Even
Yeah. When did we start judging presidents by how many people they put out of work rather than how many they get work? Not a moment too soon. Not a moment. I can't wait for these people to be poor and homeless. These heartless fucking... And by the way, what's this on the lapel here? What's yellow is cancer, right? That's is that I don't know if it's specific. I know Lance Armstrong did it. I don't know if it's specific to testicular cancer. The irony of wearing a cancer pin here, when most of that research has been funded by the government, and you want to cut that type of government research, you want to cut at the NIH. You want to cut at the CDC. You want to cut at HHS. The irony of wearing this, I care about people with cancer, but we're not going to fund it. We're buffering? Is that right? Sorry if we're buffering. Yeah, I don't know if it's just cancer in general or if this is for the hostages. That's what this is for? Shut the fuck up. He's wearing a pin for the Israeli hostages. That's what this is? Yippee! All right. Well, I didn't know that. All right, take back everything I said. I fuck anybody who wears only that and doesn't have any love for the Palestinian hostages, by the way. If you have the audacity to go on TV and only care about the hostages from one side, you're even worse. It's also for the troops. What is it? It's for cancer research. It's for the troops. It's for the Israeli hostages. It's a one size fits all ribbon. All right. Well, that was a good rant if that was about cancer. Since it's not, it's a pretty shitty rant. Sorry about that. I can't hit home runs with them all. Let's see. I don't know how long this video is. I'll save that for tomorrow. Here's what I want to do. Just on NewsHour, this is Laura Meckler from Washington Post. She's on NewsHour, which I think is PBS. Trump made some pretty remarkably stupid comments about like which states are good at education and which states we should follow for education. And here we have Laura Meckler. She'll finish out our show today, and this is edited really nicely just to prove that not only does Trump have bad ideas, he doesn't even know which states are doing well. I think I have this sneaking suspicion he chose these states because he knows they're full of whites. A lot of whites in these states, and he thinks whites are more educated just in general.
When President Trump and other Republicans talk about returning the control of education to the states, isn't that already the case where states and local districts control local education? I mean, the Department of Education doesn't have a national curriculum.
You know, every time I hear him say that, you know, I just want to put a little asterisk up for everybody to see and hear, because yes, education is already controlled by the states and by local school boards. States set broad rules that schools have to follow, and then the school districts implement them with the details, and they set the curriculum. The Department of Education, the federal government, is not controlling education. It is providing some supplemental work. It is enforcing civil rights laws. It has a big role in the federal student loan program for colleges. But, you know, it is not, we would not be returning education to the states. That is where it is largely today.
Important point to remember before Trump says a bunch of dumb shit. Like when Republicans tell you it's about they don't like education because it's not educating the kids properly, the problem that they should have is with their local government. And Republicans wanting to cut the Department of Education has nothing to do with people wanting a better education for their children. It has everything to do with them not wanting to spend money on education, and they want it all to be privatized. That's what it is. They think all education, medicine, everything should be Social Security, retirement, roads, parks, everything should be privatized. That's really why they're saying it. And it's because, and the reason that they care about it is because they have a bunch of rich people who recognize how much money could be made in education, lobbying them to privatize education so that they can make millions of dollars. It's always about money. It's never about the person. It's never about the children. It's never about the victim. It's always money over people. And here's Trump's just doing his white power shit.
I want to send education back to the states.
Where it is already.
You know, if you send education to Iowa and to Indiana and to a lot of these states that are so good, to Idaho, they have no debt, they have no crime, they have no this, they have no that. It's like perfect, because the best states are, if you look at the list of the top, the best countries for education, it's Norway and Sweden and Denmark.
What? But they invest heavily in their education. Heavily. They invest so much money in their education. You have a great education, you generally get like either reduced or free college. This is just what? He has no, there is miles of difference between Sweden, Denmark, and Finland, and Iowa and Idaho. I promise you, they're giving their people real education, and they're spending a lot of money to do it. And Idaho and Iowa aren't. They're cutting everywhere they possibly can. But what?
And Finland, and by the way, China's right up there in the top 5, which is pretty amazing for those that say it's too big for that.
Socialized education, heavily subsidized, heavily spent on education.
It's rated in the top 5. We're number 40. And we can have, if you take those states and many others, I think 35 states, they would be as good as Denmark and Norway. They would be as good as the number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. They'd be in there. But on a countrywide basis, I think we have 35 states would be in that category. Then you'd have 5 or 6 that would be mediocre. And then you'd have the same ones that are bad on crime and bad on everything probably would be bad on education.
Let's take a look. Let's take a look at the state's education ranking by state. Oops. Let's see. Let's see if those states got in there. Oops, that's not the one. Let's take a look. Public school rankings by state. So Iowa, I assume Iowa, Idaho are going to be right there at the top. Oh, no, it's Massachusetts. God, these ads. Oh, it's Massachusetts is number 1. Blue state. Connecticut, 2. Oh, blue state. New Jersey. Purple. Let's call it a purple state. Blue state, though. Oh, Virginia. Blue state. New Hampshire, blue state. Maryland, blue state. Delaware, blue state. Nebraska finally comes in. Finally coming in, and they're ranked for quality and 8th for safety. Tied second best for SAT scores. They invest heavily. They are an outlier like Utah is an outlier. They actually, because of, I mean, there's a lot of reasons, but they're a little bit of an outlier for a red state like Utah. Wisconsin, which is normally blue state, just because Trump won doesn't mean that they're a red state. Because up and down the state, blue largely won. Vermont, blue state. Let's scroll all the way down. Who's at the bottom of the list? Arizona. Hey, shout out me. Louisiana, Nevada, New Mexico, Alabama, South Carolina, Oklahoma, North Carolina, Florida, Tennessee, California not doing well. Mississippi, Texas, Utah. Oh, Utah slid. Hawaii, Alaska, West Virginia. It's like a who's who of Trump states down here at the bottom. And it's like it's a who's who of Harris states at the top. They just say shit. They just say shit. It doesn't mean anything. They're usually wrong. Trump just speaks off the cuff, and that's what Republicans like about him. He says what he means. Yeah, but he's wrong pretty much all the time. Cowpoke says the Nazi labor wheel is in the DOGE emblem. Go look. Jesus, is that true? I'll look after, or send it to me. Let me make sure I didn't miss any other comments, and then we'll get out of here. I assume Bree has a raid set up. Bree, who are we raiding? Did I read this one? Bree said, they paid you for our sex tape, so let's make it happen, baby. Ready to schedule it when you are. The moans of clapping, choking, dripping, and slurping will be immaculate. Yeah, let's schedule it. February 30th. Let's do it on February 30th. Can't wait. Can't wait. I think I read this one. Yeah, I did. Who are we rating, Bree? It's insane. If you look at the schools in the individual states, you'll see some areas have great schools and the rest are shit. Yeah, I agree. And you know what? It's like rhyme or reason is difficult. I covered California the other day, and like the schools in California that are struggling are some of the most well-funded school districts and some of the most underfunded ones. Like I don't know the names of the counties. I think Los Angeles is one of them. Compton was one of them. San something or other was another one of them. Some of the poorer ones are actually, because they've invested in after school programs and like tutoring, they're actually some of the few that are recovering after COVID. I don't know who we're rating, but guys, thank you so much for the support. We hit the goal again today. We're going to raid somebody, and it'll just automatically take you there. But thanks for being here with me today. I'll see you tomorrow morning and every weekday morning, 9:30 a.m. to 1 Pacific Standard Time, right here on Twitch and on TikTok, and on YouTube. Not on TikTok. We're still not on TikTok. Make sure you're following us, subscribed on YouTube and Twitch. And if you would like to get access to the emojis and shit, we offer paid subscriptions for those as well. If you're watching the replay right now, make sure you leave a comment, like it. That helps us a great deal, pushes us through the algorithm, and helps us succeed so that we don't have to quit and go do real jobs. Thank you guys all so much for your support. Stay cute and cool, and have a great summer.